Hello, hello, happy Friday. Welcome to our Friday Witchy Hangout. We do this every single Friday where we get together, we blend our energies, we ask a juicy question of the universe, and we usually have a pretty good time doing it. We have some rain and thunderstorms going on where I am, so it's just put me in this kind of mellow, soothing sort of an energy, but I hope wherever you are, things are going well. So today we have a lovely juicy reading, which is their karma. Now, keep in mind that energies can be flipped in the tarot. So I feel like this is probably a group that already understands this, but just, so it could be your karma. Maybe you're asking about your karma, or it very well could tap into their karma, maybe their karma for the way that they were involved with you in particular, or just maybe there's an overlap for the way that they're going through their karma, and that's where they intersected with you and where your lives crossed. But we are just going to try to explore this a little bit. Karma is a topic that I'm deeply fascinated in. I myself am not an expert in karma, but I feel kind of called to mention this. I have been re-listening to Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And if you've never read that book, or you can listen to it on YouTube, somebody read it to you. If you've never ever before read that book, I could not recommend it highly enough, especially for anybody on the spiritual journey, interested in spiritual things. Paramahansa Yogananda really humanizes the experience of like being a guru and like a teacher, and like he kind of highlights his own fears and like his own doubts as he's kind of going through it and building himself into this being this incredible spiritual person. And he reveals so many things that he has learned. I cannot recommend it highly enough. But he is a big proponent of something called Kriya Yoga, and I'm not an expert in Kriya Yoga. I'm not like, there's way better places to get information on that, but it is he talks about it as a way of like clearing our karmas, and it has a lot to do with sitting quietly and allowing things to kind of move through you. And that was his like kind of big mission, is bringing Kriya Yoga over to the West. And his guru, his teacher, said, okay, well, you're going to be going to the West, basically, because he was like, I just sense that there's a lot of people in Europe and in America that are ready to awaken. And he said Kriya Yoga will, as a technology, will kind of move all around the world eventually to help people process through their karmas in a better way. And so I just felt called to kind of share that as like a starting place if you are interested in these topics at all, especially like the latter half of the book. The first part, he really talks a lot about, again, like his upbringing and how he kind of decides that he is going to go down a spiritual path and work with the guru and everything, and handling like his family stuff and the doubting and things. And then it gets really strongly into explaining a lot about spirituality. So I just wanted to put that out there. I felt strongly called to do that. So, okay. Without any further ado, I also just wanted to say thank you so much to Light of Love for the super chat and the love. She says, the love and healing purification candle smells so good. My guests refuse to leave my house. That's so sweet. I'm so glad. Okay, so I am going to put the anchor card up here. We do have an anchor card, so this isn't one of the choices for the piles, but this is just an anchor energy that goes into all of the piles. And if you've been here before, I feel that we read the cards together. I feel like if you're called to if you're called to tarot at all, that you're being called to connecting with your intuition and listening to that more and more. So I feel like I tap into general energies, and of course you may have more specific energies that tap in for your side of things too. So I feel like we just kind of work together on that. So I like you to get a good look at the main cards. And so this is one of the main ones with the Medallion. So that might speak to you in some way. This card is heavily linked to family, things to do with family in this deck. But just get a good gander at that. And then I'm just going to put up the actual choices. So pile number 1 is the box, pile number 2 is the mirror, and pile number 3 is the vow. So if you haven't already chosen your pile, be drawn in to one or multiple piles. Now is a good time to do that. We just take one breath and we go completely quiet, turn our gaze inwards, and really try to connect with that deeper part of us that is the observer, the consciousness, the energy behind the ego and the persona and the daily activities that we spend a lot of time in that level of consciousness. So as they say, one full breath is a meditation, but we'll just hold that space and hold that silence here together. So can open your eyes and be drawn into whatever pile or multiple piles you are drawn into. All right. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead. We'll do pile number 1, the box. Okay, so for pile number 1, I'm just going to leave that there. I had a card flip over, but we'll wait till it feels relevant here. So, okay, Spirit. For pile number 1, the person on their mind, what is their karma? Okay, so I do just feel called. Okay, so karma, the way that I relate to it, and I'm going to say for me, because I'm not an expert in these things. It's kind of an idiosyncrasy that I have where I just say, for me, karma is this or karma is that, because I recognize that these things have kind of, definitions, and you can go so deep into these kinds of topics. But the way that I relate to it is some type of, our spiritual lesson, but it's a spiritual lesson that kind of I think of it as like a knot, meaning that it's not very linear. Okay, because you could think, well, I have a problem, so I'll start here and kind of finish over here, and that sounds clear enough. And there is like a start and a finish, but just like with a thread, like getting all kind of bunched up into a knot, it's like you are kind of moving in a straight line, but there's like a, you might kind of, like you're on a roller coaster, you might loop-de-loo and like loop-de there, even though it is kind of like a straight line. And in that way, you can kind of attack a problem from a holistic perspective where it becomes more like a circle, if this makes sense. I don't know why this is relevant or why I'm kind of explaining this. So working through our spiritual problems, there's certain obstacles that we come across that we have to kind of chew on and work our way through more slowly. And so I feel like there is something here to do with like truth. And not having the truth here, maybe about some type of like functioning dysfunction, and maybe even about trying to move away from some type of like trouble here. And it feels maybe it has to do with family or trying to reach some type of goal. Okay, so it could be like there's a chasing after some type of goal, and I don't know, it could be to do with family. Maybe there's a lot of family expectation to be successful or something here like that. And that puts a conundrum on the heart, is what I just heard. Some type of conundrum, because the soul wants to just be itself and knows that it can trust being itself and kind of running and frolicking and not having to worry about these certain kind of milestones or things like that. But I feel like there's maybe a family kind of dynamic or a cultural dynamic that's putting a lot of pressure on somebody to achieve and be certain things. But it's kind of the way that that pressure exists, it's sort of severed from the heart. It's severed from the person, like the being. There is a certain definition of success because look, there's like that medallion, right? The gold, the jewel, the diamond, to reach this certain like trophy, to reach this certain like award or accolade or achievement. And so there's kind of a split here. And I feel like that's part of the karma that's being engaged with and like kind of exerted through here. And I'm seeing kind of like a split, but those bridges that they'll like, you can raise them up like this, but then you can also like put them back down. So I feel like there's a way that something here is being disconnected. Oh, like some kind of success energy or like going after a trophy or some kind of milestone or pinnacle, whatever it happens to be, is somehow separated from the being, the soul. And as we know, our karmas, like, it's so infused with like who we are and what we've built up from past lives, and really tapping into our own energies and the propensity of our own energies. And so this feels like separated out. And this very much reminds me of, you could say maybe Kundalini yoga at the base of the spine. I don't really, again, I'm not like an expert in any of these things, but these are just kind of topics that I feel like are kind of thrown around in the spiritual community that people will know and relate to. But the way that I think about it is the north and south node. where you start at the south node, which is the things that you know, and you kind of know them so well that you might not even realize that you know them. Or I think it's better to say that you might not realize that other people don't know them. Like, you don't know that it's up for debate. It's so thoroughly integrated within you. You're so connected and merged with certain truths because you've spent so much time there that you don't realize that it's a place of expertise within yourself. It's so natural and secondhand. So starting from there, your actual energy and engaging those energies, and then moving towards a balancing out kind of an energy, like for instance, if you have like a Libra South node, well, you're good with fairness, people, sharing, balancing, but then you might need to go towards that Aries energy of being more of an individual, asserting yourself, especially when you come from like such a Libran background, is ironically, paradoxically, a further understanding of that Libran energy, because sometimes the balancing out doesn't happen just right in the moment, right? It happens over a longer period of time, which means that sometimes in order to actually be in balance, you need to take your power back. You need to focus more on yourself and less on a particular other person or, whatever, something here like that. So I feel like there's a karma that's being worked through here that of trying to obtain some type of goal, but it feels like severed or separated out from the base energy, the soul energy. It feels material, to be honest. It feels very 3D, very material, I just try to navigate from the 3D world. And so that's kind of, maybe this is a person who hasn't found spirituality yet that you're asking about, or is very new, or kind of like very surface level, or still maybe uncomfortable with like really kind of digging in there. The other thing that I'm getting for this pile when it comes to the karmas is some type of isolation, feeling isolated, but feeling surrounded at the same time, feeling a lot of pressure, like bearing down, but it feels like kind of trapping this person in. And I do feel like this person, whoever they are, they have like this bright light, and it feels like very focused, this pressure, because it feels like I'm hearing hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. So this person's like a very bright light. It's like their soul energy has been, like hidden under the box, like this kind of box, thinking outside the box, that box that you think inside of before you can think outside of it. So I actually feel like this is part of it. This person is kind of thinking within a box. And so they're going round and round, and there is some processing that's happening here, but it's not going round and around a circle. It's clunking to the side here in the square, like thunk, 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 thunk. And it does kind of get like, so I feel like this person has maybe had to bump into certain things, and it honestly might be things that kind of been their mind or been their reality a bit of like what's kind of possible here, but it feels like there's just some isolation, feeling misunderstood, especially maybe by family here, because again, I just feel like this person's light is obscured in some way from this like in the box thinking. So I think they might be around people that don't know how to see them or like really relate to them. It makes them feel alone. It makes them feel isolated, but it's kind of pushing this person inwards to connect with their own inner light and to like hold space for that on their own, because I feel like the conversations that go on around this person, especially to do with their family, and family it becomes that Saturnian energy, right? And Saturn is like the authority, and it's like what restricts us. And a lot of times, that's our parents when we're really, really young, and like our teachers and things that say, don't touch that hot stove. And all of that's useful. The way that it's talked about in America more and more is that those kinds of things are just wrong outright. You should just let your kids do whatever it is that they want. No, that's very protective, to teach your child how to navigate in the world and to be able to kind of express and explain those things. So the parental voice though becomes the internal voice. It becomes our conscience. It becomes that voice that kind of eats away. So I think whatever voice this person inherited from their family, it boxes them in. It makes them think inside the box. It makes them think that things are not like the spiritual things, especially I think that might even be able to help remove this for somebody here, that it's not real or it's not practical. They don't even allow themselves to kind of free flow or like explore those kinds of things. So again, I think it's very isolating. They might feel surrounded and just kind of ganged up on, to like pressured to stay within the box in some kind of way, to do what's normal, to do what's conceived as like normal, to obtain some type of like this success. So there's a couple of forces here that don't work in tandem, where there's a lot of pressure to be successful in some type of like material, tangible way, to achieve some type of goal or some type of like, again, monetary influence, but they're not given the proper guidance. There's no true mentorship around this person. It's just pressure that masquerades as a type of mentorship, if you know what I mean. It's the kind of people that are like, well, come on, or I know, like the kind of person that I'm talking about, where they think that they're kind of guiding you and they think that they're giving you guidance and like help, but they've never actually done it themselves. Maybe they just don't want you to have to go through what they went through. And so it's just kind of this mush puppy mush kind of energy of like, well, just do it, you know? We like to watch Next Level Chef, and obviously those shows are edited, but they have like the mentors. There's 3 chefs, and sometimes like at the first couple of seasons, they really just showed those chefs saying like a lot of empty platitudes, like, get it done, guys, you know? And it's like, okay, get it done is one of those things that like sounds like it's guidance, you know, get it in the oven. Like, yeah, they're trying to figure out how to get it in the oven because they have 2 or 3 smaller problems that they're working on trying to like get it in the oven. So it's like, you need somebody who understands cooking so well that they've done these things so many times, you know, that they can tell you how to kind of like specifically how to work to like then get it in the oven kind of thing. I also do feel like there's something here about mentorship and guidance. I don't think that the right mentorship or guidance is around this person. I think there's just, it's pressure. Like whatever it is, it's pressure that masquerades as guidance. So the kinds of guidance that they get isn't practical. It's not compassionate. And like, I see you and your human experience, and here's how you can overcome those emotional blockages and hurdles. This is how you can deal with the stress in order to be able to finish this. There's none of that really going on. It's just pressure. It's just, and I think it's done maybe with positive intent, but it feels very high strung and very anxious and very like, just get it done, you know, or just go to college, you know, or just finish your degree or something like that. And it's like, well, how do I finish it? Because I have to work all the time. Like, how do I balance all of these things? You know, so it's like, that is the right mentorship here, I think, is part of the problem or like the issue. They're trying to figure out how to connect with the right mentorship. But I do feel like there's blockages and obstacles into doing that because I feel like they're taught to look down on more right-brained people, people who are more artistic, people who are more type B than type A. I remember in my industrial organizational psychology class, of all things, which talks about like the workplace and what's like best for the workplace, there was a whole chapter on we should be more type B in a workplace rather than type A. And they showed all of the benefits to doing that. And yet we still see predominantly type A, which is that very high strung deadline kind of vibes. Even though we have studies, we have the information to show that that's not what's best for everybody. That's not actually what makes people more productive, you know? But yet it's hard for people to switch over because a lot of the people who end up getting degrees, who advance into leadership positions, they're more type A. So I feel like the kinds of advice that this person needs in order to round themselves out, it's more right brain than it is more left brain. But they've been taught to kind of like not to connect with that right part of the brain, or at least not to do it now. Like you need to, you know, I just heard marry a doctor, or like you need to be a doctor, or you need to finish this, and then you can, you know, then I'll be happy for you if you want to, you know, become like engage in your artistry or something like that. But I feel like actually the skills that are needed that will help round things out over here, even if the mentorship could be the art, could be the creativity. If you learn how to like sing, if you learn how to, because there's things that these people deal with. I saw somebody the other day, it was like a Mariah Carey clip, and somebody in the comments, like there was a look that she had on her face, and somebody was like, anybody who's ever singed themselves into a headache knows exactly like what this is. And I was like, I didn't know people could sing themselves into a headache. But this is something that if you are musical, that's a whole world that you would know. There's like a whole bunch of ins and outs. But it feels like this person's family, or like this in the box thinking, they don't know the nuances of those kind of artistic things. They haven't been able to kind of work those things out for themselves, that there is a greater benefit. And it's the more holistic benefit, you know, that kind of supports the medicine, the medicinal quality that's like kind of important here. So I think they feel very isolated. I think at times they feel pressured, they feel ganged up on, and it feels like for this soul that they're not allowed to move. They're not allowed to have an independent thought in some ways. They're not allowed to challenge what they think is like right or wrong. And so they haven't been able to say their truth, is what I'm getting about like, there's some kind of functioning dysfunction that doesn't work for them. This doesn't work for me. And it feels like this is a family who wants what's best for this person or something. They want to maybe, again, get away from troubled times. So it's like, it could be that kind of vibe of, I don't want you to have to live through what I lived through, you know, but then it comes from a good intention, but like the actual energy behind it and the emotions behind it are very high strung, and they're actually very self-absorbed here in this person's family. And they're very materialistic and kind of three-dimensional, where it's not like people saying, I don't know, like saying, I want what's best for you. And I have to recognize that what's best for you, your path isn't my path. Your fears aren't my fears. Your talents aren't my talents. So you have to be free to kind of live your human life. And the guidance that I give you should be the kind of guidance that helps you find that for yourself and feel supported in that. Even if I don't understand it, it feels like there's something here to do with that. So it feels like a lot of pressure, darkness, isolation, confusion, in that family dynamic, in the pursuit of some kind of materialistic goal that feels like ever more elusive. Because I think the paradox for this person is that they need to kind of click in and honor their own system, their emotions, their anxieties. This is a person where, talking about Kriya Yoga earlier, like that's a big part of it, is just sitting in silence and allowing. It kind of reminds me of tapping, for those of you who have ever done that, the like where you say, you really like allow an energy to come up, like an emotion that you're feeling. I'm feeling anxious about this. You notice like where it is in your body. You notice kind of what it's connected to. You don't try to run away from it. You don't try to solve it. You just kind of like sit, like let it be there. If you need to cry, allow yourself to cry. And then you tap at these like meridian points on your body to help your body actually move the energy and just like process the energy out and around, like from your space. And like you can say something very like supportive, like, even though I'm anxious right now, I still love and accept myself. And then you just say it like while you're tapping at these points. Even though I am anxious, I still love and accept myself. And you just keep doing it until like you feel that energy kind of move. It's kind of like that. You could try to tap it out if that's helpful, or just, again, like just kind of sitting and being with the emotion, because it feels like this person, they're not taught to go inward. That's what it is. They're not taught to go inward to find value in that space at all. That they're just taught to kind of hold themselves in this tension. This like high, I'm just hearing like a high pitched noise, like just this high pitched tension. Like it doesn't matter if you feel like you need to rest. It doesn't matter if like just get over the finish line, but it's like there's always another finish line kind of a thing. And so it's like, like when you just, I'm picturing like on a boat, if you've ever like done water skiing or something, or kneeboarding, whatever, like you get pulled behind the boat and then the boat stops. You've been taking your lap, you haven't fallen. So the boat just kind of stops, and then the whole, it's like, like the water just kind of like reconsumes you as you sink back into it. It's kind of like that. Like this person needs that kind of moment of just like, like allowing the water, the emotional space to kind of like reconsume them so that they can be a person again, like a full human being. They're not a robot. But I feel like this person was expected to be a robot. Because it feels, again, well-intentioned, but it feels like, I know that if you just do this, this, and this, but it feels very much like to achieve some type of goal, milestone, whatever. If you just get your degree, if you just, do that apprenticeship with your uncle that I'm telling you to do, if you do this or that, and then it'll get across the finish line, and it might provide some type of temporary level of relief, but there's like an existential in the heart space. And I feel like that's the seed that's like going to crack this person open to actually get them to awaken. And this person might actually, move very quickly through that space, because I'm getting like very heavily, like, or tightly wound, like very tightly coiled. And it feels like if they go into that space, it might just, and then like kind of unravel like very quickly. The tension might actually go away, and this person might not even have the words, for what it is that they're struggling with, because what they want is for the tension to go away, but they don't understand the tension and kind of where it comes from. And it comes from ignoring the fullness of their humanity for so long, because that's what they were taught to do. And I don't think they were taught that out of malice. I actually think that they were taught that out of love. But I think that this is like a family curse. This is a family trauma. This family doesn't know how to clear this pain. They don't know how to do it, which is why they keep kind of repeating the same cycles. And they're really wanting to push somebody out. They want better for their kids and things. And so it could be that like this family on the 3D, on the material, they've saved a lot to put like that first person through college. But then there's a lot of this, like, don't you let me down. Even if it's not spoken, it just feels like, don't you let me down. I sacrificed a lot, and this is your ticket. This is our ticket out of this. But it's all like so very 3D. And it's just, there's some kind of trauma that is perpetuated of, and because I'm kind of getting the sense that this is a family where it's like they've maybe had to work jobs where their humanity was not honored. They have to work all the time. They don't get paid enough. So it's like they're not allowed to be like a full human. And so they're pushing their child down this path where they're also still not allowing that child to be fully human. There's like an internal component here. And I think it's like even talking about the hurt and talking about I'm hearing like the embarrassment or the humiliation of poverty, or of not having respect, not like basic human respect and sovereignty that we should be working towards for everybody in our world. There should be no job that people are not seen as valuable and as like fully human, and they're not given adequate time off and paid a livable wage. There should be no job to do that, because you have to have these jobs in society, you know? And this could be like a very, again, very competitive kind of worldview, that it's like, well, you should get this kind of job and not that kind of job. That's on you. It's like all fully on you, like, because you decided to go with this. You hear this a lot with feminine fields, even though a lot of them are just extremely important. Like daycare workers, for instance, those first 4 years, extremely important. Daycare workers in the United States make poverty wages. So our society's priorities are all out of whack. And it's like, if you say that, well, I'm really called to go into that field, that's what I want to do with my life. And somebody, well, you need to get a different job. But that person's sole calling is maybe to go do that. And they should absolutely be able to give a living wage. And the value that they would give to society, it's maybe not like so understood. And now that I'm kind of tapped into that, I do feel like I can see that there's like more systemic, like in a broad sense, like the systems that they're kind of living under maybe too as well, where it's just unforgiving. It's very just unforgiving. It's very, my way or the highway. It's like life is unkind, but they don't. Okay, I'm going to say something. Okay, there have been studies about this. You know, okay, so there's been studies that show like more conservative-minded people, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody here, but they do have lower levels of empathy, meaning that they tend to not empathize with the way that a decision or the way that certain like policies or things would affect people who are not them and their immediate family. And it's not that they're incapable of understanding the damage. It's just that until it happens to them, they don't care. And they're like very blamey, like towards other people. Well, you shouldn't be or say or do this. You shouldn't have been brown. You know, it's just like, well, that sucked. You shouldn't have been born over there, you know, instead of really embracing like all the human experience. These are all your brothers and sisters. These are all of your siblings. And we should be working towards a world that has empathy and care and grace and kindness for all people. And so it could be that there's just a level of consciousness that exists in this family. As I said that, something just like really, it felt like a healing balm that just kind of like came into this place. So I feel like they're kind of surrounded by this energy where there's a lack of empathy, but it also feels like in that way, because I can just state this in America. I grew up in a very conservative family. Well, it was like kind of half and half, but like the family that I was around was like very, very conservative. And there's a lot of care there. It seems like it, but it's nitpicky. It's hyper fixated. They're hyper fixated on you, and they're going to, with their mental energy, tell you all the things that you should be doing so that they can have empathy for you. You know, do you get to exist as a sovereign being separate from them and all their ideologies? No, you've got to fit into their worldview. Can God be bigger and make? No, you've got to be their perfect like kind of version. And they genuinely do think, at least like where I come from, that that's helpful, that that's helping you, that is like them kind of caring about you. But it's not empathetic. There's not like, I feel like this person, there's like not strong empathy around for others just in general. There's just not an understanding that people have different needs and wants, that people are meant to fit into different categories in society, and that they should always be treated with love, kindness, care, and respect in doing so. And so this person, maybe this is like hiding under the bushel as well. They could fit into a category that I'm hearing parents, like their parents and the people around them have decided that those people are not worthy of love, patience, and that every single one of those people that fit in that category is bad. No exceptions. And when they find out that not everybody that is in that category is bad, they don't want to talk about, there are a kind of person who is like a problem, who you know, is antisocial in their behavior, and that those people exist in all kinds of groups. And so we have to talk specifically about predatory kind of mindset people, and not Black people, brown people, trans people, girl people, boy people. It doesn't fit into those categories. You have good people, bad people in all of these different categories. So we have to talk about this kind of predatory mindset. Well, if you talk about a predatory mindset, you'd have to start talking about psychology. Like, how does that kind of form, you know? And I feel like this is a group of people that doesn't really like psychology. They don't really dip their toe into that at all. They don't like anything in the inner realm, really, that will kind of explain the world around them. It'll give them a different sense. It'll give a different worldview. So there's a rigidness, there's a stubbornness in like the worldview around these people. Okay, so anything else here about the karmas? Okay, as I'm like saying this, as I'm getting more and more into this reading, my energy is settling more and more. I feel more and more comfortable. And I feel like this energy of like wanting to cry, it's like there's just not been a lot of comfort, softness, warmth around this person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Starlight said, right, empathetic for others is putting themselves in other people's shoes and treating others how you would want to be treated. Whereas these people are more like, I have a problem with your shoes, don't be those shoes. Then I'll love and respect you. That's the problem here. So these people have this way of twisting and warping people and insisting that other people twist and warp themselves instead of finding the way, their own like expression and trusting that that's the path that's going to lead us forward. And it might be scary for them because I think maybe they actually believe some of these things, that there are certain people who don't deserve love, who don't deserve rights and liberties and freedoms, protections, things like that. Okay, so what else is there anything else here to do with the karmas here of this person? It makes it hard for this person to speak to the right people. I also, they can't speak on equal terms, like on equal level with the people that are around them, because there's so much pressure and it's all coming from this place of, I know what's best for you. I know who you should be, and not encouraging somebody like, does this feel right to you? Like, what do you think? You know? So it means that they can't speak on like an equal footing with the people that are around them, because these people just assume a dominant position. And it could be because they're their parents and they're used to having raised them. But there's a place where that's going to start evening out, and you've got to start speaking differently to your child, or you're going to break them, because they're actually an adult and they have to function in the world, and you're not going to be around forever, and they have to find their own way, because that is not property of yours. That is property of God's. You're entrusted and expected to treat them with respect and like they are autonomous from you, and helping them to onboard them to their own adulthood, you know? So, but I feel like, this person, it means that they're stuck. They're blocked off from speaking to the right people. Again, like the left brain is not allowed to speak to the right brain, because these left brain people over here have just decided that the right brain people over here are wrong, you know? And so they have kind of like avoided. This is like maybe fear as well. A lot of us grew up in religious households where it's like, you know, if you're Christian, it's like, well, don't talk to anybody. I remember going to kindergarten and my parents sat me down and they're like, I think they must have considered sending me to a Christian school, and I'm glad that they didn't. But they were like, so I had gone to a Christian like preschool. I was only allowed to watch Christian cartoons. I mean, it was like crazy. And they were like, there's going to be people who aren't Christian at your school, but we think that you're ready. And I remember being like 5 years old, like thinking that we actually lived in biblical times and that people were going to persecute me and stuff. And I was like, I'm not ready. So they taught me to fear people that were not exactly to a T like me. They didn't teach me that people can be good and like have different ways of meeting that goodness and processing through their human experience. They didn't teach me that there's plenty of people that are like trustworthy. They taught me to be afraid of people who are different than me and to like not be able to communicate with them. But luckily I'm a Gemini and I speak to everyone. And so it took me 0.5 seconds to figure out that like most people are like good and friendly and like, you know, figuring their own way out. But I feel like that's what this person is like. It's hard for this person. It's hard for this person to kind of like reach out and be like, reach out and touch somebody's hand, make this world a better place, 'cause we can. It's like they don't, and I think they've been around people. They're scared to maybe talk and open up too, which is like the thing that would help this person, because they're used to being shut down in conversations. They're used to people telling them this is the right way, and then everything else is the wrong way. There's one religion. There's just only one. It's like the struggle of democracy, where the whole thing is for a bunch of like the melting pot, right? A bunch of different people, a multicultural, multi-ethnic society to come together and all stand up for each other and rejoice in being human and figure out how to love one another. What could be more spiritual than that? You know, but it's like, there can be one nationality, there can be one culture, there can be one ethnicity. It's like that. And that is how we keep the peace, when no, it's not, because everybody's what they are on the inside. That's the way that God made you. And it's going to keep trying to push to the surface, and people fear it. This person's like taught to fear it, you know, and it's bad. And so, and we don't talk and we don't make friends and we don't this or we don't that, you know, it's like, And so it's hard for them to get in the places and near the people or to reach out for the right kind of help, even like therapy. This is a person who maybe could use therapy because, again, they've been taught that like, well, you can't trust this person and that person. So it's like even just reaching out to somebody who deals in an inner emotional space. This person maybe has been taught to poo-poo that, but the thing that would move the needle for them is to probably reach out and like have a conversation where they can unwind and have a conversation. Like a therapist, they're like a big part of a therapist's job is to be a healthy mirror, and this person has not had that ever. Yeah, so they're stuck there, but this is changing. This is really, really changing. They're starting to become like a bit enlightened, like the light has turned on, and they're starting to kind of see the truth about things. And it might even kind of be blowing their mind. I feel like this person has had some type of experience with this here recently. It's changing the way that they're kind of like viewing things. I think they're realizing that they had something backwards or something upside down, and that they were like really kind of, trying to push people away and like maintain some type of high ground here. And maybe maintain that they're better than other people, or they're seeing the people that are around them, or a certain person, a certain voice that was around them in this kind of energy. And it kind of almost doesn't matter what the voice is saying. It could be preaching Christianity, Islam. It could be preaching a certain kind of politics over another kind of politics. It doesn't matter what they're saying because their energy is wrong. Their worldview is wrong. It's that I'm over everybody else. And I've purported myself some type of authority, not because you like me and you want to know my opinion about something. And you have sought that. No, it's like this person, like they've just been around people who are that way, and they've been taught to be that way. There's a judgment energy coming through. Something here being like kind of unearthed. There's a truth that's like really coming out. Tiger butterfly, thank you so much for the super chat. For you. Karma forces lessons. Yeah. I had my whole family turn on me when they found out. I went to therapy when I was 19. This is exactly the kind of energy that I'm getting. It would be like the biggest betrayal for you to just step outside of what they deem like okay and allowed. This is a safe person. This is a person. It's very culty. This is kind of like a cult, to be honest. And I know I watched Knitting Cult Lady a lot, which I find her to be helpful. And she actually has a book out about cults and like a workbook that might be helpful. But let me just speak for like America is so prone to cults, and like, cult doesn't have to be like religion, but there's just a way that cults kind of operate. Narcissistic family systems operate under this kind of cult mentality. But America is so primed for it because when you think about the kind of people that came over here, a lot of them were fleeing like religious oppression. And I'm saying that because, for sure, a lot of people were fleeing religious oppression, but a lot of them were wanting to be religious extremists, like to the max, like to the point of having like no secular society and just having like an absolute theocracy. But it feels like that's the kind of like authoritarian energy that's been around this person, of even if it's not like theocratic, like this is the way that we think about God and everything. And it has to, nobody can, it's because George over there, that's the way that he thinks about God. He told us all how we think about God. And so if you have an interpersonal experience with God, because God is so big that it can have unique personal experiences with all of us, well, that doesn't count because you're not George. George is the cult leader, It's like, it's very much like that. But it also, it feels like it has to do with like, not just religion, it feels like you have to be this for a job. It permeates all different sectors of your life. You have to do this for a job. You can only hang out with this kind of person. You can only talk to these kind of people because that they're safe. These other people are crazy or insane, and you should just not listen to them out. This person has been trained not to listen to certain voices on account of random shit. Like when you really get down to the brass tacks of it, it's on account of random shit. It's the color of the skin of the body that they were born in. It's because they speak with an accent. It's just, they've been taught to discount people over stuff that doesn't mean that they're wrong, Like, you can be wrong and be a lot of things in this world. You can be right and be a lot of things in this world, but they weren't taught that. Like, so anything else? And then I think I'm going to wrap this up. I feel that there's like movement here though. Yeah. And I just saw one of those, like, I don't know if you're opening like a vault door and like they have like the big bar and you like kind of grab it and then like kind of spin it around. I just saw that, like something here's like open. So I feel like there's maybe a vault door. It's a vault, baby, locked down. Okay, so they received some type of message and it gave them a different choice. And they were kind of like, well, I don't know, is this right or wrong? So it could be some type of communication that came in. Okay, this is Mercury and Sagittarius energy. Sagittarius represents like other cultures. So there's some type of message that came in from a different culture, a different way of viewing things that is totally and wholly legit. And this person was like, wait a second, this could be like Eastern versus Western. It's like, this person's like, wait a second. And it kind of like threw them into some kind of like, well, how do I make sense of this? So there was some type of choice. Look, divinely guided. So there's been some spiritual energy come into this place. Like, this is God energy. However you relate to God, God doesn't have an ego. God is huge, bigger than, that's another thing in Autobiography of a Yogi where they talk about lack of comprehension. Or maybe that was this other book that I'm reading, but they're talking about lack of comprehension is kind of, the mind is limited. And so when we hit these kind of higher truths, a lot of times it's this like kind of lack of comprehension. But that's different than being a dumb shit and just like being delusional, because you know who I'm talking about. There's a lot of people who are delusional in the world. And that's because they don't come up through logic. They don't come up through knowledge. But if you come up through logic and knowledge and it passes all those tests, because the universe is whole. So if you're running it through logic tests and then it's like this kind of expansive thing. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm not talking about flying in the face of like basic reason, you know, which I think that's what this person got things kind of confused with, you know, where like, okay, so for instance, like if they heard about tarot and like the spiritual people, they would think, oh, those people don't believe in logic and science. Whereas no, I think that you run everything through logic and you run everything through science. The left and the right work together. It shouldn't be one or the other. And I'm equally terrified of people who have this scientism, like dogmatic viewpoint where everything is just, they're strict materialist, as I am people who just are full in the spiritual realm, but they're not tethered to anything real at all. Both of those people are delusional and wrong in different ways. It's about the balance, you know, kind of a thing. Yeah. So this person, like the air is clearing around some type of truth. There's been something that has moved the needle in this space is what I want to say. And I think this person was hanging out with some type of group too that was like reinforcing a negative view of love. Because it feels very much like if you stay within the bounds, if you stay within the lines, if you don't rock the boat too much, then I'll love you. But I think this person was, yeah, they're feeling alone. And maybe they started feeling alone within this group of people. And so they've gotten some time away and they might even be kind of forlorn. They're thinking a lot. They're feeling maybe very ashamed that they didn't see something clearly or see like a truth here that earlier or something like that, like maybe that they wasted a lot of time. Yeah, look, Ace of Cups again. It feels like that kind of more right brain creative energy. Yeah, there's like an opposites attract kind of a thing. It's again, it's like east meets west, the left brain meets the right brain, and it's like, actually you're kind of cool, you know, you kind of balance me out in some kind of way, you kind of round me out in some type of way. Yeah, Spirit was trying to give this person a cup first of all, but like the higher cup. So that wasn't really seen here because this person's intuition as a compass is not on. It hasn't been on, and they don't know how to trust their intuition because I think they've only heard it through a filter, or they've only heard certain people that are truly ungrounded, and they don't factor in logic. And I'm saying that because this is a person who would know certain things, and so I think the kind of people that they've heard talk about it, they can easily disprove them in their head. And those people should mum it. Like, they should not be the ones speaking about it. If they're getting things kind of wrong about things that we know are, you know, principles in our world, it seems like they've heard those kind of people talk. And whenever they can't explain things, they just, you know, it feels like that. And so they were right to refuse to listen to that. They were right about that. I think, oh my gosh, I just heard extremism begets extremism. So it's like they were in one kind of thing, one kind of group, and then they met an extremist maybe from another kind of group, and it like really, you know, but then I think if they met somebody more balanced, and I think that maybe just happened. Yeah, and there was something that they got wrong. I feel like this person's unpacking that. So we've already kind of gone on for a while here. I think I'm going to leave. There's movement in this space. Let me just tell you that. There's a lot of movement here for this person where they're starting to kind of like unpack things and realizing that they themselves have been an extremist, and they've been unbalanced because, as you do, like, this is a person who thinks that their way is the right way. And you have to know that about all humans are like that. We all think that our way is the right way. So it's important to be able to critique and bring your own thoughts through a logic test. And I feel like this person, even if they associate themselves with the left side of the brain and the logical side of the brain, they're not critiquing their own thoughts through a logic test because it wouldn't pass a logic test. But they're holding up to some type of, and this can even be like, okay, this is the last thing I'll say. Like with science, right? If you are practicing science, and this is a funny thing about me, you see me, I'm a spiritual, and I've always been very religious. I was on an advanced science track in school, and science always made sense to me. And I always thought that it was funny that people don't think that science and spirituality go together, that they're opposites, because I was good at science because I view this entire world as God's creation, and I was curious about it. And I think that absolutely God made atoms and molecules and cells, and I want to know how those things work because it tells me about how God's mind works. And like, that was like the way that I approached it when I was really, really young, where I still kind of viewed God as like this kind of being instead of like just something that permeates through all things and can't really be explained, and so I think, I don't remember where I was going with that, but yeah, just, it's not different. It's not, I know where I was going with it. If you want to start at a scientific perspective on anything and you can't admit to yourself that nobody knows where we came from and nobody knows where we're going. I mean, like, yes, you guys know that I like to listen to people who use hypnosis. These are doctors with therapy degrees and things like that have somehow found their way into hypnosis, that have been like kind of documenting those things. And that's not really seen as like the best kind of tool from hardline sciencey people. But those are the people who are so dumb that it's like, I'm going to explore where we came from before we were born using a scalpel. Like, good luck. You need to invent different tools. We have the tools that we will use to discover that. It's probably hypnosis and things like that, and we're not comfortable with them, but you have to develop the right tools to kind of explore those things. So that's what I'm saying is like, people who take this hardline materialist perspective, they forget that nobody knows where we go after we die. Nobody knows why people have near-death experiences. That's like very, very documented and studied now. So there's a certain amount of like unknown baked into our world, and I just feel like this is also a thing that could be happening with this person, where there's like a strict hardline scientist. I'm a scientist, like left brain, but it's like they don't know what consciousness is, or where, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you start to get to those like kind of the physics and the things, these kinds of things start to break down, and it's good to explore on those precipices because it always changes the way that we think about things. And this person is scared to explore, and that's different than being smart. So I'll just leave that there. I didn't do the best job of explaining that last little bit, but I hope some of you got where I was coming from with that. So, okay, that was pile number 1. We'll just place this up here again. So we just finished pile number 1, which is the box. And we're moving to pile number 2, which is the mirror. Yeah. Melanin Wild said, "Oh my God, my dad is such a successful but cold authoritarian, just do it person. He could never tell me how. It was such a sort of grace, anxiety. My search for how is why I'm such a great coach and mentor." Yeah. And that reminds me, because this, the sudden wealth card was like what flipped over. And so for some of you, the wealth thing might be like a part of it, like to get some kind of sudden wealth, or maybe these are people that have gotten some type of sudden wealth in their life. And so everything became about that chase, about that money, about that game, kind of thing. Of like learning how to play the game. Well, here's what you got to do. You got to smooze. You gotta be bad. You gotta be strong. You gotta put your lip gloss on. I just completely rubbed that on my teeth. It was like I was trying to put it on my teeth instead of my lips. Okay. Yeah. Jess, can you possibly post a personal list of suggestions for learning material? Brian L. Weiss blew my mind back in 2005. Yes. Brian Weiss. I don't know if I can post one. I just mostly, I don't know. I would be hesitant to do that because it's the one thing that's like kind of coming to mind for me. So have you ever had that book or that, I don't know, that material or something that like really profoundly changes you, and then you go back to read it and you're like, oh, this is kind of like, I've kind of grown beyond this, and I don't know that I would recommend this now. Like, I kind of can't remember in my mind, because whenever I read certain things, I take away like a profound idea or concept that really kind of changes me. And then sometimes I go back and I reread it. I'm like, I can't believe that I recommended that on the channel, because I hope people don't think that like I believe this or I believe that. So I don't know about like posting an entire list of things that like, but I keep mentioning them. And yeah, I mean, definitely the one that's coming through right now is Autobiography of a Yogi, and Always Journey of Souls, which is kind of like the Brian Weiss stuff. And that's Dr. Michael Newman. So Dr. Brian Weiss, Dr. Michael Newman, those are people who, Dr. Michael Newman was actually both of them were like very, very staunch in the field of psychology. Let me just like let you see my face for a second. Okay, so as somebody who studied psychology, I have a bachelor's. I don't have anywhere near a doctorate, but it's funny because psychology is a soft science, and so you get a lot of people in there that like have this little man syndrome when it comes to science, and so they become like sticklers for science. It's like an overcompensation kind of a thing because there's something called like oh my gosh, what is it? It's like a not a standard deviation. Well, it's like I can't remember the technical term for it, but it's like the percentage that you're allowed to be wrong. Like this is like, so with, I can't remember the name of it. So in hard science, oh my gosh, what is the name of it? It's under 1%. Like, okay, we know that this is correct. There's like an under 1% chance that it's not correct. Well, in psych, you work with a 5%, with all because of the nature of social science. And so Dr. Brian Weiss and Dr. Michael Newman both have that kind of, or they did at their like the beginning where they were like, they used hypnosis under certain conditions and things, but they were just very much trying to stick by the science. And then they just started having these patients that would regress back to past lives, and then their patients would process that energy and heal. And so they just started documenting it. And so I like that. I like trusting people like that who are the biggest skeptics, who just keep having this repeated experience over and over again. They're like, well, I have no choice other than to just document this because there's something going on here. I don't understand it. I'm positive there's a mechanism that will describe it. That also reminds me, the holographic universe. I have not read that book, but I have it and I have been told about it. That was one of the first books that somebody mentioned to me. But now you have other scientists talking about those kind of same principles. That's an older book, but those theories have kind of like progressed. So I don't know. We could go off like on an entire tangent about those kinds of things, but I'll continue to call them out like whenever I'm like sort of thinking about them. But stop the search. You are it. Yes and no. Yes and no. Stuff like that is tough, and because it's true, and again, it's the kind of, I hate to say like an empty platitude, but it's like, it seems like it's mentoring. Okay, so I promise we're going to get into pile number 2, but just really quick, somebody I think it was under Autobiography of a Yogi, there was a comment that was like, no, it was a different spiritualist, but they were like, why do we have to have people like gurus and teachers and stuff if like it's within all of us? Why do we need people to teach it? And immediately I just kind of thought, well, you do have to learn these kinds of things. Like you do have to search out this kind of information. And immediately I just thought, like, I played softball growing up, and it's like most people have the propensity to play softball, or if that's, most people can paint. You have the propensity to learn that. But I don't know if you've ever seen people play softball. If you've ever seen people like that don't really know how to hold a bat properly. I mean, yeah, I can hand you a bat and you can swing it. That's not the same thing as actually knowing how to meet the ball, line up your knuckles. There's a certain way to hold your hand. You'd go through coaching for softball to learn how to play football. You get your, to learn how to do yoga. You get your stance right, and you just practice it over and over again until it became second nature, because there's people who know it better. But raw potential, which we all have, is not the same thing as knowing how to engage that potential and make it like bioavailable, make it actually like work. So yeah, stop searching. You already are it is the kind of thing. And it's the kind of thing that I was describing to behind the boat, where you just kind of sink back into it, but follow your own path and your own journey, because it will all like kind of make sense to you. And if you have questions and if you are called to a search, like that's your intuition driving you down like your own path, you have to engage with it. You do have to engage with it. Okay, we're in between piles right now. Ooh, that might be a message for you. We're in between piles. Okay, so let us move on to pile number 2, the mirror. Now I got that song stuck in my head. It's like, you gotta be bad, you gotta be one, you gotta be stronger. All right. So I'm trying to figure out which deck I want to use here. Okay, so let's see, Spirit. I have a message coming through, but I just want to pull some cards here first. So, Spirit, what is their karma for pile number 2? This person, what is their karma for pile number 2? Just jumped on. Good morning. All right, Spirit, for pile number 2. Okay. 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 So fear is big with this one. It has something to do with fear. And like this mirroring energy and confronting fears in the mirror energy. Now, mirror, I think, has to do with a person or people that they kind of come across and they don't see this person or these people clearly. And maybe this was you in this person's life. And they don't see that clearly because there is some type of underlying fear or there's an illusion about something here that you said, about something that you are. And I think there's a defensiveness maybe around, again, okay, so 3 of Swords, around things that were said, around like a betrayal energy, something that hurt their heart. But it feels like there could have been some type of clarification here, like through a conversation, like asking a question, being more direct. Yeah, look, the Ace of Swords, getting like the truth here about this 4 of Wands. So about a celebration, a party, a social gathering, a reunion, something here like that, because they're feeling very defensive. And so I think that it might even have to do with blame. Hold on. This is kind of coming through here. This could be a situation where because of the fear, they asked like everybody but you for direct clarification, or everybody but the person that they should have been going to because they were too scared and they had some type of an illusion here. Okay. So I don't know exactly how this is coming through yet. I'm just going to talk my way through this because I feel like, okay, so I'm going to use another Next Level Chef example. So on Next Level Chef, there's this platform that comes down with all their ingredients and they all have to like run over and quickly, like with 30 seconds, they just have to grab ingredients to try to like put together their meal. And there was this one episode where there was 2 people and they both were at the platform grabbing their ingredients, and the meal that they were supposed to make was like New Orleans inspired, right? So automatically you're thinking shrimp, sausage, spices, right? Everybody's kind of going after the same things. Well, apparently like this guy had a problem with this girl who grabbed the shrimp because she was right there. And he said, I said that I wanted shrimp and she just grabbed that shrimp to sabotage me. And Alex and I both looked at each other and it's like, it's Cajun cooking. Like anybody who gets the shrimp first is going to grab the shrimp. It's not because you said you wanted the shrimp. Just because she didn't say that she wanted the shrimp, you know, you were trying to kind of call the shrimp to make her what she doesn't owe you that. Plus, I don't know. There's a difference in their personalities. He's a man and she's a woman, but there's a difference in their personalities. But the way that he was processing the whole thing is that that somehow in this competition, because it's a competition to win $250,000 as to who can be the best chef, that she would somehow owe it to him not to grab the shrimp in a Cajun competition meal. And she didn't, but he misprocessed the entire thing and was like, oh, it's on. Like, I really don't like her now. And la, la, la. And maybe it's reality TV, right? So maybe the producers told them to say that or whatever. But that's the kind of energy that's coming through here is like, I think somebody got something like misconstrued or confused. They have somebody all like fucked up. They have somebody twisted in their mind where, they have to put themselves in context. Like in the Next Level Chef thing, you're in a cooking competition to win $250,000. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to put their best foot forward. So nobody owes it to you to make it easier for you in the competition and disadvantage themselves. And so I think that there was something here where somebody took an opportunity or they did what was best for them. And it feels like it would be what's best for anybody in the moment, right? Like, you know, to take the promotion if it's offered but because of something about this person, because she was young and she was a woman and like she had just turned 18, you know? And so it's like, why would you ever under the circumstances think that she shouldn't grab the shrimp, you know? But I think that there was a misconstruing of like, well, she did that because she's trying to sabotage me, or she didn't really want the shrimp herself. You know, she wanted it because I wanted it. There was like 12 chefs cooking that day. They all wanted the shrimp guy. All of them did. Why did you say that you wanted the shrimp? Because you thought you were calling dibs in a cooking competition? So there's something kind of warped and like messed up here. And it's because of like a defensiveness around the truth. Because the truth would maybe like mean that they were the one that betrayed somebody, or the truth would mean that they're heartbroken and then they would actually have to process like what they did to somebody else, or they would have to process their own feelings or their own emotions around something here. And look, we have the World card at the bottom of the deck. Look, the Empress. Oh my gosh, all these major arcana cards. I'm still pulling major arcanas. Okay, wow, 4 major arcana cards just came out. So yeah, there's a restriction. Okay, so look, the Empress card came out, which again is this feminine energy, this value energy, balanced energy, growth energy. So somebody here is like very much growing, and then somebody here is trying to be the authority in their energy, trying to place a restriction that is inappropriate or incorrect because of their own, like, well, we're both in this competition and we're neck and neck competitors, and they both were, they had their first pick, of, I don't need to explain the whole show to you guys, but like, but I get to put some type of like restriction on this person and the way that they're allowed to express themselves and who they're allowed to talk to, or like, in order to bind or restrict their growth here. Like somebody has maybe placed themselves in an authority in this person's life. But it does feel like there's something here about like being alone and like actually reflecting, or maybe something to do with a house as well. Maybe being alone in a house, or like maybe some type of move here that feels very divinely guided, because somebody here really truly doesn't see within the nooks and crannies of their own mind. They really don't. Oh, okay. So okay. So another book is coming through. Alex maybe will grab this for us. But it is The Teachings of Vilamakirti. It's a Buddhist book. I've just started reading it. It's so profound. I have to kind of go slow to process through it. But in the book, they were describing about enlightenment and like on our way to enlightenment and the different dharmas, the different teachings that come through different teachers, because everybody is being coached like through to enlightenment, like Spirit is helping all of us, but some souls are not exactly ready for that. And I feel like maybe this person is not exactly ready, or they haven't been in the past. And so there's 2 groups. So the teachings, instead they'll focus on, one was morals and virtues. And that's all they want them to focus on is what you're doing moral? Is it fair for all parties? Is it virtuous? Like stop and think about your actions and the way that it's going to affect other people. And that will be like their teaching over and over and over again until they become it, until they embody it. So there could be some type of restriction that is needed. And that's the teaching energy. Oh, that could have been the Saturn energy. So there could be a misconstrued, like Spirit has sent this, maybe this person prayed for a spiritual teacher and Spirit sent this person a spiritual teacher, and they're teaching morals and they're teaching virtue, and you're moral or you're not. But there's some kind of Saturnian energy of like really restricting, because it feels like they're learning and they're kind of new at it, or they were behaved in an immoral way and then they received some type of karma because their guides, is what it feels like, are really trying to focus on like morals and virtues. And at first it feels kind of heavy, like when they're learning it, until they become it. And then it can be like more free flowing where it becomes more second nature. But this is somewhere where it's not second nature to like consider being moral and actually prioritizing that. The other thing though that you need, so that's the one, the other thing that you need in order to be able to receive the teachings of enlightenment. This is we're talking about. This is a prerequisite before you start learning about enlightenment. You have to have morals and virtues and understand that internally, and that needs to become second nature, living that way. The other thing is you have to have a clear mind, and so that's another thing where they'll focus on that, like where their lifetime and a lot of their lessons will be focused on clear thinking, which we kind of talked about in pile number 1, of like learning the logical fallacies, learning how to run things through your own mind, not falling for a charlatan's like bullcrap, even if they're orange and a billionaire. So, it's learning how to process information. Well, I was confused. Well, how do you not be confused? How, people are capable of kind of seeing things from a clear perspective. So how can you be one of those people where you have like a certain amount of information and you know what to do with that information, similar to a chef when they get the ingredients and you know what to do with those ingredients, So those are the 2. It kind of reminds me of Mulan when she had to climb to get the arrow at the top of the pole, and they gave them the one represented honor and the other one represented strength or something. And you need both to reach the arrow. But it's like you need morals and virtues and you need clear-minded thinking in order to be able to receive the teachings of enlightenment. And the teachings of enlightenment are based on compassion. And there was one other thing I can't remember in the moment. So they won't even start teaching enlightenment because you'll just get all confused and deluded until you have an incredibly moral and virtuous nature. And then a very clear-minded nature. And I'm kind of getting with this person, both might be an issue here, but I mean, with the mirror coming out and like the delusion, there might be like a clear-mindedness, but I feel like they might be defensive because maybe they behaved in an immoral, unvirtuous way, or they aligned with someone, or they aligned with multiple people that behaved in an unvirtuous way. And so it's created blockages and it's created karmas. So they have to be clear-minded enough. It's like both, that like this person's stuck in like a both kind of scenario. It's like they need one or the other to be able to unlock the other one. So like, for instance, if they could be really clear-minded and they could run their behavior through a logic test, then they would see that they behaved in an unvirtuous way. And that everything that unfolded, where they weren't direct and they didn't ask the proper questions, it unfolded from that place. That they either were unvirtuous themselves, or they supported somebody not virtuous, or they were a part of a group that was very not virtuous. And they did a bunch of not virtuous things. And now it's really hard for them to kind of come to terms with that. And it makes them feel all weird inside because they have to, this is actually clearing karmas with other beings. They actually have to face the kinds of weird shit that they placed on other people. They burdened other people in a way that they were not supposed to do. And it's like, well, I didn't mean to. I'm hearing that. Like, I didn't mean to, or I was confused. Well, you have to have clear logic. You have to have a clear mind. So I was confused is a great place to start, but it's also not a blanket excuse or anything. I was confused means I need to figure out how not to be confused. So I need to work on, take a debate class. Like actually learn the logical fallacies, learn about ego defense mechanisms, unpack that. That comes through on the channel a lot. Those two things, ego defense mechanisms and learning what they are and learning how they manifest and learning that you really feel righteous, like you are in the right, but you're burying a lot of stuff. That's the case for every single ego defense mechanism. It keeps you trapped in a land of delusion because it's uncomfortable not to be in that and to confront the truth. And logical fallacies. Ego defense mechanisms and logical fallacies will help with the clear-mindedness. And then you don't get mucked around and battered around by your own mind. But again, it means like coming to terms with your own behavior in a big way. That's what's going on here with this person. So this may well be a person who hurt you directly or indirectly, because it could be indirectly if they don't have a clear mind. So they just kind of run around and support things that cause harm, and they don't take the time to really think through. But again, like not being moral or virtuous, or seeing unmoral, unvirtuous behavior and making an excuse for it, like, I don't know. For instance, let's say there's like video footage of me saying like, they don't care what you do. You can just grab them by the P word. And then everybody's like, locker room talk. Like you saw somebody behave in an unmoral, unvirtuous way. Here's another thing with psychology. Behavior does not exist in a vacuum. So you got that. There should be some gears a turning, right? It's not an excuse. It's not anything. You saw unvirtuous behavior. Logic needs to occur. Clear-minded thinking needs to occur. As I'm saying this, I feel a watershed kind of release moment. So it's either they were doing this themselves, where I'm just getting that, but they had some type of unvirtuous behavior. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be that extreme, because let's face it, as far as like behavior that's going to get you, like, by the time you're violating someone's boundaries like that, there's a lot wrong with you. That's not just one thing that's wrong. If you're touching people's genitalia in a way that they don't want you to, you're violating boundaries in a lot of other like ephemeral kind of ways. You feel appropriate to push into other people's space in other ways before you're physically doing it and feeling like you can get away with it. So I feel like this is a person where, oh gosh, like I'm just feeling this kind of like watershed moment. I feel like this person needs to ask for like repent. They need to just like repent, and not just to God. I feel like part of their repentance is like they need to enroll themselves into some kind of clear-minded class, like to help them think. They need into a logics class, into something they need to learn. They need to like unpack. But like I said, whatever was immoral or unvirtuous, this could be really anything. It doesn't have to be as extreme as like that, which you would hope that everybody would know is wrong. But just given how many people don't seem to know that that's wrong, how big of a problem it is worldwide, not everybody thinks that that's wrong. And that's because they have a might makes right kind of philosophy. The more money you have, the more power you have, that somehow makes it okay. Might makes right. Well, you don't want to be taken advantage of. Gain more power, gain more might. No, that's excusing people acting in unvirtuous ways. And we should have, our society, if it's pro-social, should have ways of corralling that. And there should be consequences to that, right? But it could be really anything. It doesn't have to be that extreme. Like it could just be kind of similar to pile number one, where it's like, it's unvirtuous and unmoral to place your own cultural judgments like upon somebody who is trying to express something in a different way. I don't know. So this person is really trapped in like a funhouse mirror zone. They're trying. I feel like this is maybe really frustrating for this person too, because I feel like they're trying to see themselves clearly and they're trying to see their behavior clearly. I also feel like this person, this is the kind of okay, so they're not clear-minded. I think they're emotionally riled up about something. They can't shush their mouth and like allow everything to kind of like settle in order for things to not be so funhousey in the mirror. And the reason they can't, because I just feel this strong defensiveness from this person. They'll attack you. They'll point out at you. They don't, again, it goes back to the clear-mindedness. They won't say like, wait a second. If I've done wrong here, I don't want to be doing more wrong. I need to like figure out what I think about this. They don't want to do that. So they'll lash out at you. And then it becomes a bigger thing where now this person is like, now they've been defensive. Not only did they do the rotten thing or they supported the rotten people, but then they've gone out, defended it, went for the jugular with people who are trying to share their human experience or, so it becomes this like big thing. So I'm just seeing this person trapped in like a room full of funhouse circus mirrors. They're mirrors that they're all diluted. They're not reflecting back, their real self. And they're trying, it's just agitating them on an emotional level more and more and more. And they feel like I really just feel like this person, the hermit energy is what's needed here. Like they just need to sit and close their eyes in the funhouse mirror zone. They need to close their eyes and they need to like meditate. They need to just kind of like calm down and they need to drop the ego. They need to be okay with like being wrong and checking themselves and critiquing their own thought process. And then they'll realize that a lot of the people that they were critiquing do that naturally. They're always like, when they're interjecting into the public space, it's because they are doing that. They have something to say because they're not just saying it out of defensiveness. And this person hasn't been able to see that about themselves, that they're really coming from this very defensive place, this place of righteousness, might makes right. I have every right to do this. This person has every right. They have every right, don't you know? In America, these are the kind of people that I have my rights and liberties. And it's like, you never hear those kind of people talking about their responsibilities to educate themselves, to be clear-minded, to make sure they're not coming from a defensive and reactive place, to consider the way that things are going to affect people that don't look, think, or do anything like them, So they'll never talk about their responsibilities. They have all these rights and you have no rights, by the way. Like it just feels like that kind of energy, but they can't catch themselves into that like logical route. I feel like this person may have been very flippant or they were just very impulsive and they thought that was their intuition. This person probably has very like spotty intuition. Like it might land if it's in an arena where this person doesn't have this big ego built up, because this is big ego energy. So where they don't have that big ego, then it might kind of land. But there's a certain place here that they have a big ego built up. And so they feel this impulse and it's not the same as their intuition. And they're not clear-minded enough and they don't self-critique enough in a way that's productive for them to unpack that they don't have the same level of understanding in this arena that they do in this other arena. They're not the same level of emotionally triggered in this arena that they are in this arena. And so that it's like this person's in this perfect place of being the most deluded, like the most stuck in their own patterns, because they understand certain things, which tells me this person's had help. I feel like this person has had some type of help, some type of spiritual teaching, but they really need it mama birded. This is the kind of person that's sort of, this does to me seem like this person's path actually, but man, like when they're coming through it, it's very, very dangerous because they'll have just enough knowledge to misuse it and use it for selfish reasons, defensive reasons, to never apologize, to double down, to lash out, to do anything but the thing that we're all supposed to be doing, which is just kind of bringing ourselves back down, clear-minded, trying to be moral and virtuous. So yeah, but I can see that they're kind of working through this. Because like I said, I feel like this person's had help, but it feels like this help they have applied in very specific ways. So I think it's in a certain arena of their life and they have made a lot of progress in that arena, but that progress has not been overall in their entire being. What they haven't learned is the deeper lesson. They have not learned the deeper lesson of doing this as a general rule. They've learned to do it over here when it comes to, like, let's say their love and relationships. They've now learned that they need to really see clearly, to not get emotional in their love and relationships. But over here, maybe we were talking about politics. So like to do with politics, they haven't done the same thing around their like beliefs and or like the bills that they support and the, like they don't do that over here, but they think that they've made progress over here and they think that they think that they're kind of much more progressed than they actually are. And so this kind of makes her a very dangerous person. Yep. Yeah, I think they see somebody here making this progress, making some kind of success. This could be themselves in another arena. And they feel stuck or stagnant. And they also don't, maybe they compare themselves to somebody here. Yeah, I think that they've maybe been rebuffed by somebody as well. And they feel judged by that person. And they were judged correctly, by the way. Like they were judged for correct reasons, like for valid reasons, I should say, because this person wants to invalidate. Like I said, this is kind of a really rough person because this person knows just enough to be a real menace, you know? They'll misapply a bunch of terms. And it's not even because they're meaning to. It's just because everything that they deploy is towards their own selfishness. It's towards their own defense. That's what it is. Selfishness is maybe the wrong word to think about. They apply everything towards their own defense. So if you teach somebody these spiritual tools or psychological tools, and all they can do is apply it towards their own defense, they just keep building a wall around themselves. They're not doing what it should be doing. It's not having the effect that it would have on somebody who is trying to apply it towards clear-mindedness, truth, actually like seeing the truth, you know, in a certain situation. I'm so sorry. If you've had a run-in with this person, I feel like this is very annoying. This is a very hard person to deal with. Very. Because they probably seem okay on the surface, you know, like they seem interested in the same things that you're interested in. They seem interested in doing the work, and they seem like they have done some kind of work. And this person really has done some kind of work, but it's very isolated. And they think that isolation is them working on their total being, and they haven't. I mean, this is a start to that, but now they've gone through the motions. They need to apply that to just their whole outlook on the world in every arena that they could possibly go through. And so I think that probably you've had some type of vicious encounter with this person, and it was their defensiveness, because this person was wrong about something. And it feels like maybe a lot of some things, because this is the kind of thing where when they're wrong, it can really just like spiral out of control, and they just like get very defensive. I also think that this person keeps a group around them. It feels like 3 people or something. It's like an echo chamber kind of thing where, and maybe this person gets to play leader in that group as well, but there's like this echo chamber kind of energy where everybody sees from the same level of consciousness. And they'll only, by the way, be able to have these conversations with people who only see from the same level of consciousness that they do. Because I think that you don't see on the same level of consciousness that they do. And I think that you were right about something. I think that you hit the nail on the head, and I think this person exploded. And you're probably just like, what was that? You know? And I don't mean exploded like, because like I said, this is a tough person, because they would say that you exploded. If you passed some kind of judgment, you were like, you were wrong about this, or I don't want to be around a person who is like doing this or that, and you would be in the right. Like this person was confronted with some type of valid criticism here, very, very valid. And they couldn't handle it. And it's wrong that you are critiquing them. But you have a higher level of consciousness. So that's called teaching. When someone from a higher level of consciousness points out what you're doing wrong, that is called teaching. And this person is uncoachable, basically, at this stage, because they're very defensive. And so I think they're not uncoachable forever is what I'm getting. Like, I think this person has to go off and be on their own. And maybe there's something to do, like spend some time in their house, or like there's some type of spirit is involved in this. There's some kind of big shake up here. But they won't be back around your space. Like they shouldn't be. Yeah. They don't have what it takes to actually correct course within themselves. So that's what makes them a dangerous person, because we all mess up sometimes, and it's like healthy people can see that they'll try to be clear-minded, or they'll try to be virtuous about something. They'll develop a strength in one of those areas in order to pull themselves out. And this person just has not mastered that. They think they're way further along than they are. He called me a genius and then tried to teach me about the most basic spirituality. LOL. So is there anything else here, Spirit? Yeah, there's a real blame. I think maybe this person felt blamed. This is just, you know what, I think this reading already came out, at least on Patreon, the one about the 2 sensitivities, sensitive like a bomb, not sensitive like a flower. So I think this is the kind of person where it's like, if you try to coach them at all, they just think that you're ganging up on them. This person thinks that they should never be wrong about anything. And that if they're wrong, or if you're saying that they're wrong and that they need to make some kind of connection, that's like you being mean to them. And how could you? When it's wrong to you can't have somebody live in this level of delusion around you and never be able to clean up their own mess. They also could have tried to like surround you and make you feel bad. This person's angrily watching you, or somebody. If this isn't you, they're angrily watching somebody here. They have some type of plan to try. This is, again, it's like, stop, look at yourself. You're not behaving this is the basics. Stop, look at yourself. Look at what you're doing. It's immoral. You know, this is a boundary pusher in some kind of way. You need to respect other people's boundaries. You need to respect other people's sovereignty. You're not behaving in a moral way. And if you had clear-mindedness, where you could actually critique your own self, you could understand that. But again, these two things don't work in tandem. And I don't even think that they really got one of them down. I don't think that they have one of them down. Yeah, there's some kind of karma playing out here where somebody needs to like leave a group. Anything else? This person seems like they get fixated on you. Like, okay, because it's like if you have like corrected this person, or if you said, no, I don't want to be around you. Like if you've said that, like, I don't want to be around you. And it would be because this person is unvirtuous, or they're delusional, they're not clear-minded, and they don't have the ability to get themselves back on track, which means they expect you to do all the work. And I do think there's been a presence in this person's life. It feels very much a part of their spiritual path, but this presence has had to mama bird. They've had to, what I mean by that is the mama bird has to get a worm, it has to chew the worm and then spit it into the baby's mouth. The mama bird has to digest the information and spit it into the baby's mouth. So it's very slow going with this person. That is their path for now, because it's very dense energy around this person. But they're thinking, I caught the worm, I chewed the worm, like I'm able to digest information, and they're not. They really do need a lot of help. But this person has an ego on them now, because I think that they maybe have processed certain things. So they think they're much more talented than they are, or like, yeah, I'm not really sure. So they get fixed. So when you correct them, they get fixated on you in a negative way. They hate you. You know, this correct a fool and they will, or correct a wise man and he will thank you. Correct a fool and they'll hate you. This person like can't believe that you would critique them. They think that you have an ego because you critiqued them and you saw something from a higher. I'm really genuinely getting that you just have a higher perspective here, and you and maybe some other people were correcting this person, and they just have such an ego on them that they thought that it was wrong that you critiqued them. So they're just uncoachable. They're just uncoachable and entitled. And then again, they can't even just let that go and allow you to make your own decisions about like, I don't feel comfortable with you around, sort of a thing. They're fixated. They become like very just fixated on something, or they double down and then they defend their horrible, atrocious actions or the people that they like aligned with. Tower. There's been a tower here, because this person's like living in some type of delusion. So this is a thick delusion. This is just a thick, thick delusion. This is like, I think my shit doesn't stink, but I think yours does. Because they have to blame you for their shit not to stink, because their shit is be stinking over here. And they're just running away from that. Okay, anything else about this? I'm done with this almost, this person. What's going on with this person's karma right now? Because I feel like something's happening right now, and I do feel like it's a tower moment. Okay, they did see something. The Ace of Wands just came out. So they saw something here. They saw their own lack. But again, that's what triggers this person. They don't deal well when they are the one that's lacking, because they don't have any humility. Humility is kind of a virtue, and this person doesn't have that. Why doesn't this person have humility? Like, what's so wrong with admitting that you're wrong? This person like doesn't ever admit that they're wrong. Okay, because they feel like it puts them at conflict with a group here. This person doesn't have like people skills. This is like kind of playground 101, you know, where it's like, okay, so you were wrong. People are wrong about things. People have fights and arguments, and they're able to kind of like get over it. But how they get over it is they have humility. They suck it up. They say, I was wrong. They explain why they were wrong and why they treated people the way that they did, or why they, you know, and then I think this person doesn't want to eat crow. Like, it's like they don't want to be a little more held back for a while to make sure that to accommodate other people, you know? I think this person is aware that they may have hurt people and been very antagonistic, and that they should hang their energy back and kind of be like a little bit like this, you know, like, are you okay? I'm really, really sorry. Yeah, it's a little sore over here, so we're going to have to work our way back. They don't want to go through that period of like restricting themselves. This person doesn't want to restrict themselves. They don't want to eat humble pie. Maybe this person's very boisterous because they like to play leader. This person very much likes to play leader. That's what they're doing, because they're not a leader. Leaders have to have humility. They have to be able to lead themselves first. And this person's, I think, just obsessed with like not just being a part of the group, but like being, this is egotistical, so egotistical, but they act like it's anything but that. That's who this person is. They act like it's anything but that. Yeah, I feel like they're catching strays here. Like they're getting it, but this is the thing. Like this is a very dangerous energy to get this person in because they feel attacked, and it's their ego is being attacked, which by the way is half the spiritual journey. So how are you on a spiritual journey and you don't know that your ego is going to get attacked? This is like, there's a lot that doesn't add up with this person, to be honest, like, cause they don't understand things deeply. Again, like they kind of keep having these like realizations here because this person is in like an ego consciousness that is very, very thick. This person is even like, I don't know, say you have like a Rocky Balboa kind of type person that's like, yeah, I'm just an ego, like dick slinging. I'm me. Like what, you want to fight me? I'll fight. Like, this person has more ego than even that kind of person who is at least honest about it. You see what I'm saying? Is this person not honest about it? And so, and because of that, they're in such a thick haze of delusion of they think their shit doesn't stink. They think that they're better than everybody. They think they're a leader. That they're on a spiritual journey and don't allow themselves to get critiqued by people who are truly better than them or like truly more advanced or see something from a higher level of consciousness, at least in a particular arena that they're not involved in. That's how they're so egotistical, and it's like layered thicker than, again, like somebody who's just at least honest about it. Like, yeah, I'm ego on legs over here. You want some of this? It's me. It's I, because this person acts like they're not that way. But then if you try to just point out, like, I don't like the way that, like, whatever, then that's when they feel put upon. They're like, how dare you? You judged me. We're not supposed to judge in this spiritual community. And it's like, I'm not judging you. Well, maybe I am, but it's like, I have every right to just say, I don't like being around you. Like, and you have to leave my space. And I can't really say that without judging you. And if you're not just going to take my no and you're going to keep asking questions, I have to go further and further into that. But this, again, no self-awareness that they keep kind of pushing you. Yeah. This would be the kind of person where you just have no other recourse other than to walk away from them. And you would just be forever on their shit list. And this person thinks that they're a victim. This is covert narc territory. Like, they always think that they're a victim, but they're incredibly narcissistic. Like, they're just so self-absorbed. The sensitivities they feel is more narcissistic injury. It's how could you? How dare you? Don't you know who I am? Like, it's that energy. And you can't work with that. You really can't. So, all right, I'm going to leave that there because this person is kind of like quicksand and you would waste a lot of your time until they can get a handle on themselves. Like, they need to go be alone. And I think that they will be. Okay, but they do have a temptation in the road. Ahead of them. They might be trying to put one ahead of you, but they have one ahead of them. It's going to catch them in their ego trap. It would be very hard for this person to resist whatever's coming. This also could be a person that was sending some kind of spell work, trying to break up some kind of marriage, relationship, union. This person is like sneaky egotistical. There's a plan. There's a strategy. This could be the kind of person that's sending ego consciousness level magic and energy because they're trying to get somewhere. Because they're obsessed with the way that they're seen. And that's the last thing that I'll say here. I want out of this energy. Catherine, thank you so much for the super chat. Do I think this is the person that's been taking over readings lately? They could be. You are describing the father of my soon to be born child to a T. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that you're going through this with that person. That like they're, the father of your kid and that you have to be like around them, My foot is asleep. Okay. I do just want to point out that for you guys, pile number 2, that person might be your karma because I think that you're learning how to like walk away. What I kind of arrived at the end is like, there's no working with someone who can't hold themselves accountable, be clear-minded, and hold themselves and other people around them to like a virtuous standard. So I think that like you're just kind of learning maybe to gray rock and like to... And also, because I feel like that's the kind of person who's trying to give like advice in some kind of capacity, and you definitely can't take their advice. Yeah. Okay. Here comes the sun. No, 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 no. All right. So we're getting ready to move into, I almost said chapter 3, pile 3. sorry that was kind of coming out. That person's energy, I kept saying that they're not clear-minded, and it feels like that was really hard to access in a clear-minded kind of way. Okay. Under oath. You're welcome. All right. So let me just have a little drink here, and then we'll move on to pile number 3. Thank you, Starlight. Yeah. You can't work with someone who can't hold themselves accountable and who is always a victim. And if you try to bring up anything, they always just play the victim so that you can't continue to be direct and honest. And so that they can say that you're being abrasive or something like that, when really it just feels like a control tactic, like, or a control mechanism. I feel like pile number 2 is definitely like very good at control and manipulation, but like through that victim kind of stance. All right. Moving on here. I just want to get away from that energy because I could go on and on about pile number 2. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. They weaponize their own emotions and exploit yours. Exactly. Perfectly said. They weaponize how do you say it? They weaponize their own emotions and exploit yours. Darvo facts. Yes. Okay. So you guys already get it. And even though I kind of stumbled around that, it seems like you already know. Yes. Okay. All right. So let's do pile number 3. Hooked on a feeling. Dun, 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 dun. Am I mixing songs here? Okay. So let's see. What pile do I want? Or what? Let's do this one. Okay. So Spirit, for pile number 3, what is their karma? Can you guys hear Soul? He's drinking out of his little bowl over here. Okay. One second. Okay. Okay, so pile number 3, Spirit, what is their karma? I have felt like tear pricks in every single pile, like when I just go to tap into the energy. Just letting you know. What is their... I'm taking my time here with these cards. This might be part of the message. So what is their karma for pile number 3? I think somebody here is definitely taking... So as opposed to pile number 2, somebody here is like definitely taking their time to be like kind of clear-minded. They're trying to work through some type of decision that they're making. Okay, so I feel like this is maybe a person who's lost you in terms of like a relationship. Like you broke up with this person and maybe they moved on with somebody else here. And so part of their karma is that relationship, because look at all the moons, like all the darkened moons up here. So it's like there's been many moons, like many months, many years, even like many cycles that's like, I don't know, they've been living in some type of darkness, like in a relationship. And it's like very routine. And again, maybe very 3D, very materialistic. And they want to maybe clear the air with you, but they're not able to do that because they've kind of put all their eggs in a basket that's like very different from your basket. And it feels like it's just in a different direction than your basket. So this is a person, it's definitely relational. Like their karma is very relational to do with a relationship. And I feel like in particular, a romantic relationship or a relationship that is just like they live with this person, they share money with this person, they go about their routines with this person. There's some type of karma that's playing out here in regards of doing that, because it feels like this person let something go with you for like many moons, like many months, where it was like darkened energy. They darkened their light. They didn't maybe express themselves to you, or they didn't reveal something, or they kept something a secret. So it could be that you were married to this person even, and that they kept something hidden, or they kept something in a secret for many moons. Shout out. I'm not going to say your name, but personal reading, shout out. You know who you are. Yeah. And so like now maybe they want to make peace in the situation, and like look at his hands like around her hands there. So it's like maybe not wanting someone to go. And it's like now all of a sudden they want to make peace in the situation, whether you're the person that they're married to now, or they wanted to be with you, possibly in like a marriage kind of situation, that maybe they wanted to take your relationship to a next level of commitment, but they didn't express themselves. Somehow this person didn't express themselves or reveal something, like reveal some type of a secret for a very long period of time. And so, yeah, their karma has to do with, look, more Virgo energy here, like that's coming through. There's a lot of Virgo energy coming through with their karma. So it has to do with like their everyday reality, their everyday routines, where they live, their money, and definitely some type of relationship. And it could be just that they're losing this relationship that you're in, and they're going to have to be this hermit, like in this hermit mode. They're going to have to be single. They're going to have to, be alone when it comes to just like the daily, maybe for many months or something. They're going through a spell or a cycle here, and they're very like kind of confused. It could be that this person goes through a period of, again, being alone or being without you, because they've kept something hidden and concealed here. So now they've got this choice, and it feels like, well, do I go back? Do I try to reveal this now and like ask for peace? Or do I move forward with maybe a relationship that's very materialistic in some way, but this could be like for Virgo reasons, like shadow Virgo reasons, like because somebody can help this person, because like monetarily, or that they have a place to live, or like maybe there's health stuff going on, or just to help them with their routines. Now they have like, well, which way do I go? So that's part of the karma too, is now they're confused about which way they should go because they didn't reveal themselves, or some type of secret. They didn't have a conversation with you sooner. And so peace is harder and harder to achieve here. And maybe it's harder for you to believe that this person actually wants peace, because maybe they actually, what you think that they want. And I do think this is kind of mixed in a part of it. It's again, this Virgo, like something about, I want a place to live. I want my routines to be better. I want like more stability with money, or something like that. And so now you don't know how to kind of trust it. So there's karma that's coming through with a decision. I don't know, do I go backwards or do I go forwards? Because it's like when this person was in the past, which was the present when they were in it, right? They didn't have a conversation, or maybe multiple conversations, because there's a lot hidden here for like a long period of time. And maybe, yeah, so, and that could have been because they were out chasing the dream. I just heard chasing their dream, chasing their dick, trying to build in the material. There's a lot of material realm kind of thing here with this person. And I'm kind of getting that they were chasing after this medallion. They wanted some type of medallion. Yeah, look, 2 of Cups. So they went after somebody that they thought was their victory. This comes out in the cards. And I said that exact sentence in a reading not too long ago, where I was like, oh, they thought that this person was like a short-term victory, like in the moment. They thought, oh, this is how I'm like going to win somehow. Maybe this has to do with like a job or their routines or some kind of like stability. But at some point they maybe thought, or maybe that's where they're at now, this kind of like precipice of thinking that this person is their victory into perpetuity. I just heard like into like the long run, because they've gotten themselves in such a hole with you where it's like they can't go back and like reveal all the things that they had like kept secret, or like they really put off having a certain conversation with you, revealing their feelings, or revealing something that happened, or like went on, or they know that you deserve to know whatever this is. Like they just kept putting it off. So it's harder. It's like the barrier to entry back into your field is higher and higher and higher, because of like the peace that they want to try to bring peace to this situation, but it's like they just kept this secret for too long. And now it feels very self-serving when they're trying to bring that forward. So this is very much playing out day to day, like karma's day to day with somebody that I think they're, married to. What is their karma spirit in this situation? This feels like a situation here. I feel like they were looking for some kind of clarity here and they didn't get it. Like maybe from you. So it could be that this person should have spoken directly, should have had a conversation, should have revealed something about themselves in order to have like an honest conversation. They didn't do that. And then they were looking for some type of clarity from you. Like they were still like kind of watching you, but there needed but you didn't reveal that kind of clarity, not because you were trying not to or you were trying to play a game or anything. It's just, I feel like this person needed to initiate a conversation. They needed to reveal something here that made it then safe for you to reveal something personal. Like, yeah, so I think they were waiting for you to reveal something and it just didn't happen. That's another part of the karma here. That's something that they're looking for to be revealed that feels like would bring some kind of peace of mind. Oh, I get it. So if this person went off with somebody else, they want peace of mind about that decision. And so they're looking for you to reveal something here about what was hidden on your end. Maybe like feelings like, well, when I did that messed up thing, that then I kept a secret from you. And it could have to do with, like obviously it could be cheating. That comes up a lot in the readings, but like this could be something about like something routine, like maybe something that they did with the money, something that they routinely kept hidden from you, some type of transaction that maybe they were gambling, or like, it just feels like they were looking for some type of clarity in order to make themselves feel better about the decision that they made to go down a different path in life. Especially if this person did not reveal something and like go down a different path. They were looking for you to reveal something to make them feel okay about that, but they're never going to get that because that's part of the karma that was created and like unfolded here in this situation. They had a chance. It seems like they had many chances here, many moons. They had a lot of time here to reveal these secrets or like hidden little things and actually to be able to kind of work through it. And now that the time has passed, it feels like they're never going to get that like full clarity from you because at the very least you don't feel safe in this situation. And there's something going on here with, you don't believe them. I mean, there's something you're going on with. If you really meant that, then you would have revealed this in a timely fashion. You wouldn't have just like kind of let it go. If you were serious about me, if I mean as much to you as you say that I do, if it's not really about money, and it's because I think this person's having some struggles here maybe with that in their rooted, grounded space. And so now they want both. And I think maybe the clarity they've gotten is that they didn't go down the right path, but whatever clarity they've gotten though, it doesn't feel specific to you because they want some kind of specific information about you and Spirit's not giving them that because it's like they have to speak to you directly. And now this person, I don't know where you're at in the timeline here because you really could be, you could be in the darkness right now where it's like, this is technically the time period where this person's supposed to be revealing this. Like they still could if they wanted to, but maybe they're looking for some type of information. This person's kind of scared is what I'm getting. I don't exactly know why, but it's like they're hiding and they have this habit is what I'm getting of like hiding and trying to like really, really watch you. To figure out what it is that they should do instead of taking the lead in their own life. And I do feel like there's something where that's the right thing here. They need to take the lead here because it's the right thing to do because they actually owe you that. And that's going to be the thing that starts to put all the dominoes in motion sort of a thing. So I'm getting that they have this habit because it's like whenever they were supposed to be revealing this, they kind of just sit back here like this, like just kind of watching you from behind a bush. Like, okay, if they do this or that, or if they reveal this or that through their language, or if they cry when I walk into the room, or if they look at me like when I walk in, then I'll like walk over there and then I'll start the conversation. And it's like, no. So I feel like they were doing that when they should have been revealing something here. If they let this go on too long, if this is further progressed, because again, I don't know where you're at in the timeline, and they've already kind of moved on, then now they're on a precipice of, do I go back to the past and try to clear the air and try to bring some peace, or do I move towards something else in the future? And whatever that thing is, because it could be another person, but it's very materialistic, whatever it is. They're going after something like very materialistic that might be associated with some other person, or again, some other path, like taking some offer from somebody else besides you. And so it's like, do I go back? And again, they're doing the same thing where they're kind of hiding behind the bush and they're kind of like, well, are you going to see me? Are you going to sense me? Are you going to talk to me? Are you going to reach out to me? Are you gonna, it just feels like anything but being direct with this person. And so, yeah, there's a lot of karma unfolding here in the kinds of information that they get to make a decision that then affects their whole life, like that affects their rooted space, their money, their routines, their day-to-day activities, and the relationship that they're kind of in. Yeah. Okay, so here's the clarity energy. Oh my gosh. So they'll have, so part of the karma here too, so many major arcana cards. My gosh. They'll get clarity when you finally close this chapter. Like when you've actually like kind of moved on and like you've resolved this within yourself. And I think you resolving the karmas here, like with this person, is like, you're never going to give me what I need. Because it feels like this person owed you, let's just count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 conversations? Were there 9 opportunities? Are there 9 secrets here? Like, Were there 9 months where this person didn't say anything? Like 9 moons here. This feels like big energy. It just does. And so I think you processing that is that, oh, you're never going to. I think you needed this person to be direct. Just start a conversation. And there's something about the timing with it. And so you just kind of processing that. And then once you kind of you close the cycle and you're up and away, that's when this person's going to get the clarity here. And look, the devil and the magician, this is hyper manipulative energy. Look, the Queen of Wands. So it could be that this is who they moved on with, that person is like very hyper manipulative, or maybe it's that they've been hyper manipulative, but I don't know. Maybe, and they've really made you mad. Yeah. Okay. So it could be that they're realizing that not revealing whatever the secret was actually manipulative. It could be that this person struggles to understand that. And so that's the clarity that they're going to get, where Spirit's like, you were trying to manipulate this situation. You were trying to manipulate this person's feelings by hiding certain things, and instead of stepping out into the light and allowing this person to decide on you, allowing this person to choose you, to love you, or to not love you. They were trying to control, is what I'm getting. They were trying to control your like movement. And so that pissed you off, could be. Or it could be that they're realizing that there's a third party here. And it could be all of these things. So take whatever resonates. But it could be that, yeah, they're realizing there was some type of third party here that's very controlling. Maybe is manipulative, possibly used magic here to hide. Yeah, there's like hide like defensiveness to kind of like control them, to cause an argument, to cause some type of competition in order to win or something. And they're feeling stuck. Like they can't come towards you, and they're feeling stagnant, and they're feeling like you're the empress, but they broke your heart kind of a thing. They want to offer you something new. They could also watch they could watch here as somebody else is making you an offer. This even could be a proposal. And it's like they're watching you get further and further away from them. And for that barrier to entry in your space gets higher and higher, because it's like the timing is awkward. And then that's something that plays on their mind, where they're like, I don't know, where a lot of time has gone by. Maybe this person's going to tell me what for. And then if they see you move away or move on with somebody else, that's like another boundary that's there. It's like, well, would it be appropriate if I reached out? It's like, it just keeps getting more and more difficult for this person to like reach out to you. Yeah. I think they're realizing too that like somebody here maybe really likes maybe to be the center of attention. It could even be them that they're realizing. So it feels like they want maybe out of a situation that they're in. If it's not with you, I think that's the case. And they want you to like kind of take them back. They want maybe, I don't know, for you to be single or for them to be single. I think their karma, the way this is going to play out, is that you're going to move on, find somebody else that's going to be stable and it's going to be happy. And this person's going to be in hermit mode, feeling like sad, and probably having to leave a situation that they're in and spend some time alone where they're doing all their routine things kind of on their own. It's going to create some type of wisdom where I think they're going to have to realize what they lost here, like the value that you brought to the table, how stable you were, how patient you were. And something about relationships, like this person I feel like this person just kind of expected you to always give to them, or maybe they took, or they just expected to get away with whatever, but they needed to kind of pour into your space. I feel like that's the big karmic lesson here too, is like they needed to give. They needed, and I think literally they needed to pour into your space. They needed to pour information into your space. There's secrets here. They needed to give you that information. They needed to, in a way, kind of set you free. And I don't feel like this person could do that. And it could be because they were in another situation that they thought was gonna bring them success, money, assets, accolades. They thought it was going to change their fortune in some type of way. Yeah, and maybe they thought that they were going to yeet out of that situation and towards you, or they were with you and they were going to yeet out of that towards somebody else here. But maybe there's been a message about that. Yeah, that there's been heartbreak. Because if this person was with you, I feel like there's actual emotions here. But they didn't reveal that. I do think like if this person is with somebody else and they're trying to like get with you, they don't want to leave that relationship because there's so much money, stability, whatever tied into that. It also could be that they're with you and they wanted to go sleep with somebody else, but they want to be with you. It's like there is actual love here. There's actual emotions, but this person feels like they can't reveal that because their actions are so contradictory to that. So it's like a squaring kind of energy where they need to kind of square this circle. And this is meant to be their path, which is why they need to go hermit mode and like actually go within and like, why do I do that? It's like they were playing with something that was very valuable. And I feel like that was you, and they lost it. Or they lost, even if like, say you guys still like decide to stay together for whatever reason, there's still something here that was lost between the two of you, like an innocence, a trust that will never be gained back. And it's like they lost it. They still feel like, you know, separate from you. And it feels like that's just, and it feels like you're protecting yourself here. But they lost something of value. They have to experience that loss, and they have to be in that hermit energy alone in their like, routines. It feels like, to understand the value of what they lost and kind of what they played with here. Because I think this person is left with the question, like, why did I do that? Because I think this person, it's like through you, they have to confront the mismatch within themselves. Because thinking about how they would communicate this to you, I think they keep running up against things like, they'll never believe me. Well, that doesn't make any sense because, you know, if I say, well, yeah, I did cheat, but I love you and I want to be with you and you can trust me and you're safe here. No, you're not. So like this person's like, well, how do I get them to understand that? The answer to that question is actions. Karma means action. There are certain things you cannot communicate with words. I think this is also part of the karmic lesson that this person's learning. There are certain things that you cannot ever only communicate just using words. And you certainly can't fix them only using words. Sometimes actions speak louder than words. I think that's what this person is learning. Actions speak louder than words. And it's like they have acted in a way that has gotten them into a situation that words are not going to get them out of. I think this person has a tendency of being very manipulative. And I think that they are learning that too. That them trying, even like they have to kind of work up to this level of understanding of them even trying to solve this situation in this way with you, or maybe this is with somebody else, I don't know, is manipulative, and it's not loving, and it's not the kind of thing that you can build relationships off of. It's just not. But this person I think is kind of thinking to themselves, well, I do love you, because they know that you won't believe them if they tell you that they love you, and they're like, but I do love you, and they're like, so how do I make you understand? And then they're kind of going into it, and it's like, well, love would have had to consider the other person and not just you. Because I think this person was like, well, I was just doing my thing. I was just doing what I wanted to do and I wasn't considering you. Okay, well then that's not love. You said that you love me. You didn't say that you have a fondness for me. Okay, you're fond of me. Great. But that doesn't mean that you're going to change your behavior to accommodate me in your life in a way that makes me feel safe and wanted and cherished, and where I feel like I can put my roots down and grow and invest in this space. You're not doing anything to make that more bearable for me. It's just fuck me and what I want and what I need. And you're totally fine stressing me out till kingdom come. That's not love. At the end of the day, that's not love. And so I think this person is kind of, again, I'm feeling like that tear energy, and they're kind of having to unravel, like, maybe this person has never really truly loved in the way that I'm describing. Maybe they've never loved anybody but themselves, if they even love themselves. They've never been willing to maybe do that for anybody because they're so selfish and like self-absorbed, and they only think about themselves. And it gets them in a pickle too, because it's not a good way to navigate in terms of making decisions. There's been at least 2 decisions here, major crossroads moments, and there'll be a third one too. So with you, I feel like there was 2, because there was like, okay, well, there's not a good way to describe this. There's a sequence of like crossroads moments where they needed to make a decision. And the first crossroads moment is like, am I going to tell them some kind of secret? Am I going to reveal some kind of secret? And there might be, with 9 here, it's like, I'm hearing from Crazy Stupid Love. You know how like Steve Carell, like, okay, his wife cheats with David Lindhagen, you know, and they were high school sweethearts. So they are separated. He cheats with 9 women, and she's like, 9? Well, you sure showed me. Like, so it could be something here like that, where it's like there was like 9 different indiscretions that this person like needs to tell you about that happened over a long period of time, something here like that. It could have been something that they held on to for like 9 months, like an extended period of time. But it feels like they had multiple of the same crossroads here of, do I tell them? Do I reveal not just what I did, but also something here about my feelings? Do I do that? And then if they decided not to do that, then they let you go. Then it's like, okay, well, am I going to go back and try to repair things? Because I feel like this person hasn't let go of that. Like they still want to go back and repair things with you. And so they're holding on to that. So that becomes their decision. And then they sit and they watch you like, do I go back? And then if they don't, if they just decide to keep their life in autopilot, or to not go back and make things right with you. And by make things right, it's like they need to give you the power. They need to give you all the information that you need, and allow you to decide how you feel about them. If not, and they're just going to go on autopilot chasing some type of materialistic energy, and that might be with somebody else, then there's another crossroads moment where it's like they're going to realize that they manifested this relationship with a person who's exactly like them. It feels like controlling, manipulative, because this person doesn't want to admit that they're those things, that they're controlling and that they're manipulative, because they want some kind of material success. They want something like worldly here. Well, so does whoever they're going to end up with if they don't go make things right with you. Is the same way, but maybe like it feels worse to them because it's in a different way. Because this person feels like an honest thief in some kind of way where they're like, yeah, well, I mean, I did that, but you know, with me, I didn't do this or I didn't do that. Like, at least it feels like at least I had this, like I wouldn't have crossed this line that like this person crossed, you know, that they're with. And they're like, that person, like it feels like whoever they end up with, they have to kind of confront like, well, that person's a real fucking menace, you know, because I never would have done this or that. But it's like they're staring in the mirror of somebody like kind of just like them, or somebody who is just as controlling as them, just as manipulative as them, just as like, but like does a good job of hiding it. That wants, it feels like they want something on the material and they're going to make damn good and well sure that they get it. It feels like this person got sabotaged. I don't know where you're at in the timeline, but it feels like if they just kind of go on with somebody else, they think that they can put this into autopilot with this person because they think, oh, I'm just getting everything that I want on a superficial level. And it really is, there's nothing beyond the superficial going on here. And they don't want to have to, it's like a numbing. Like this thing is just allows them to be numb. But no, they really should not be numb. They really should be paying attention because it's going to be like a, you know, kind of a thing. I felt like, you know, when you're in a car and like somebody just like slams on the brakes and you got your seatbelt on it, like catches you right there and you're like, ugh. Like it feels like that, like with this person, like it's this like car crash and it just comes out of the blue. They weren't expecting it. They weren't paying attention because all they were focused on was the superficials. And they were thinking that their biggest problem is whether or not they reveal this or that. But this is a person where morals and virtue, like in pile number 2, it feels like the clear-mindedness was more of the thing. This feels like morals and virtue. Like this person is like, it's not a big deal that I'm like sleeping with other people. They just make that decision for the both of you. They don't understand that like in psychology, things cluster together, right? So if you have somebody that's willing to, this is kind of what like cluster B, but also like sociopaths, psychopaths, people with antisocial personality disorder, they have deadened empathy and stuff. So if they behave in a way where they don't mind your empathy, because it feels like maybe this person is like an avoidant that we're tapped into here. And they're like, well, I'm not a narcissist. Like, yeah, do I cheat on you? Yeah, but it's because I'm dead inside. It's not because I'm a narcissist. It kind of feels like what this is, but it's still, the behavior is still the same. Like they're still very selfish. I think they're going to get into a relationship with a narcissist. And because this person's avoidant, they probably have a like very rich inner world because avoidants usually do. But it's also can be like very fantasy sort of driven. And I feel like this person has a big fantasy about the life that they want to have. They want to have like everything. They want to be seen like a certain way. So they weren't really seeing this person clearly at all. And they're going to realize why you pay attention when the morals and the virtues seem off. And there definitely could have been something about the situation where maybe they started cheating, but it doesn't, like whatever this was, it didn't bother this person because they don't understand. This person thinks that it's a matter of being like prudish, like having morals or virtues is a matter of being like prudish or like, sexually repressed or something like that. If no, like you can be fine with people expressing themselves sexually in whatever way that they want, having multiple partners. But cheating and lying is different. That's different. When you know that you've got to go behind somebody's back, you're disrespecting their sovereignty. That's different. I just watched a thing too where this guy was oh no, it was on TikTok where somebody, I can't remember who this person was, but they were saying that they were in a hair salon and that it was one of those things where it's like, if your husband was at such and such at like 3 p.m., he was trashing your 30-year marriage and basically hitting on the hairstylist the entire time, and that she was just trying to be polite, like, like if you have half a social brain, you know that she's just like in an awkward position trying to kind of placate him. But he was basically making a pass at this lady who was just trying to do his hair. And he was talking about how he wanted a polyamorous relationship, but just with like one person on the side. And he was describing cheating. That's not a polyamorous relationship. But I feel like this person confuses things like that, where they're like, well, if you believe in monogamy or something, like, then you're prudish. It's not that you have a problem with snakes. You have a problem with people lying. You have a problem with people not considering you. You know where you feel comfortable, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't want to build in a place where then this person, you see, you have your own emotional, physical, like comfort and safety, and that should be considered in a relationship. So whoever they get involved with, they are going to realize that, well, these things that they don't really have a problem with, it's because they don't understand them. They're like, they caught some flags here, some moral virtue flags with their person. But I think their person was maybe like, I I want to say feigning like a happy, bright personality, because this isn't a good person, like whoever they're with. They're just a very strategic, manipulative person, and they find it strategically advantageous. They find that people give them what they want in terms of money and resource, but also that they respond to them in the way that they want when they're pleasant. You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, right? That's essentially their partner in a nutshell. So their personality is not real. And I think that they saw that this person maybe finessed people or had in the past, but they thought, oh, they won't do that to me, or we both want the same thing, so it doesn't matter. But they're involved with a non-virtuous person. So this person has or will stab them in the back. They'll betray them. They'll throw them under the bus. And this person is like, what? You didn't need to do that. I feel like that's what they're saying. Like, I'm on the same page. We can fuck people over together is basically like what your person is saying. I'm fine with fucking people over. You're fine with fucking people over, but we don't fuck each other over. And this person is like, there is a difference between them. And it feels like to me, like one's an avoidant and one's a narcissist. And Thais Gibson, who is like the queen of attachment styles, she put out a video not too long ago where she was like, if you went from a relationship like with an avoidant partner to a narcissist partner, then your inner pattern is that you manipulate yourself. You can manipulate yourself into liking things that you don't like, being okay with things that you're not okay with. And it could be that this person, again, in order to just like accommodate their own selfishness, was trying to manipulate you into like, well, it's okay. You know, if I, and yeah, because they were trying to hide certain things. Like, it's okay for you to be around such and such person, even though like they lie and cheat and sneak around together. They ruin your family together. They ruin the trust. They erode the trust in your relationship together. So it's absolutely not okay for you. Like, this person also seems like they don't have a lot of emotional intelligence. They're just very, and that's what it is. It is, and I think this person will realize that this is a lack of emotional intelligence. That if I put my arm in front of a poisonous, crazy, rabid beast, I'm not being brave by doing that. I'm ignorant. I shouldn't be exposing myself vulnerably to something that's like foaming at the mouth, like a wild creature, right? It's going to bite my arm off. So this person's like, I don't care about like not being around virtuous or like moral people in close quarters. It's just stupid. Fine, but that's just dumb. But this person like kind of gets it in this other category where they're like, well, I'm not prudish. Great, don't be prudish. But like, that's different than like trusting people to be honest and trusting them to care about you and where your line is, even if it's not where their line is. That's part of being in a relationship. This person didn't want to do that. It's like they didn't want to do the relationship dance because they were miscalculating it. And they're like, well, you're wrong. And I can't trust you to be right about this because you're such a prude. That's kind of what I'm getting. It's like you wanting a faithful, monogamous, honest relationship is you being a prude. No, it's not. It's you valuing honesty. And if you don't value honesty, a relationship's going to be pretty fucking hard. And so I think they're going to get in with a relationship with a person that they think is nice, but nice is not good. And this person's about to learn that the hard way. It's like they're just running. I'm just seeing them run smack face first into a wall. And, you know, this person might have a bit of a trauma trigger around people who are not virtuous after this, you know, where it's like every time they see a wall, they're going to be like, oh God, like, you know, I remember like, I just saw their face just get completely like bloody because it's like they get in a crash. So like, I'm not putting that out there. Like, I don't think it's like real, but that's the metaphor that's coming through is they just run smack into a wall that they didn't see coming. That if they saw the moral virtue thing for what it actually is, which isn't being a stick in the mud, it's not being prudish. It's understanding, like I said, in psychology, things cluster together, traits cluster together. So where you start to see a couple of traits, you can assume that there are some other ones there too. So when you start to see lack of empathy, when you start to see, this feels very dark triad, like their partner feels dark triad, but I think that they're maybe attractive socially. I think they're attractive like physically, socially. They have a way of working around people that feels like magnetic, or they have a finesse. They have a way of like kind of finessing people, but I think it's giving dark triad. I think it's giving Machiavellian, like this very strategic. It's giving psychopathic. It's giving like, not that they are well, I don't know. Take it however it resonates, you know. But it's like it's giving narcissistic. It's giving like where you start to see these traits, other ones start to kind of creep up. And so I think this person was like, well, yeah, I mean they're a little self-absorbed, but like. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's like now they see the full picture. It's like this, whoever they're with is like an iceberg. They saw like the tip and they thought that they were okay with it. And I think this was like a thing with you because they saw like whatever. I think there's like a similarity between them and their partner where like you saw something similar in their tip where you were like, I don't like that. But you knew it's an intellect. It's a well-rounded, I think, social emotional intellect where you're like, I don't know what I don't know about you, but I know that there's more beneath the surface. I know that certain traits tend to cluster together. And I know that that's not a safe place where upon this rock, I shall not build my church. You know, you're like, I'm not building anything over there. You knew that without knowing. There's a lot you didn't know, but you did know that there's some things probably over here. They're having that same experience, like with a partner where they saw the tip of it and they saw it and they were like, whatever, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I don't need somebody to be honest. I don't need somebody to be caring. I don't need someone to care about like you. I just saw somebody like, I feel like it's one of the, I just saw like, I don't know if like a puppy got hurt in front of this person, they'd kind of like, like laugh, you know? And this person was like, I mean, that's kind of weird, but like, whatever. That was just a one-off. No, it's not. That shows a lack of empathy, but that also shows a sadism where they take joy in like watching something get hurt. So it's like, pay attention. Pay attention. Like, so this person won't do that again. I mean, it might take them a few experiences, but this has been a big wake up call because this is kind of a bad daddy. Like whoever they kind of end up with, this is like a very negative energy, but again, has this way of coming across very attractive. Like, and so maybe you and this person are both very attractive in similar ways, socially, physically, like on the surface, but you have virtue and this person doesn't. And so I just feel like they're going to get really super badly betrayed by this person that they're with. It's going to make them have to consider that, people don't say that you should be honest in relationships because they don't want you to have any fun, which also question mark over your person if they think they can't have fun without like, if only the only thing that gets their heart going in a relationship is lying to their partner. You know, it's like maybe y'all belong together. Two peas in a very dysfunctional, nasty, decrepit pod over there. Like, you know, so like, why is it only fun when you're treating people or like little innocent animals or something like badly? Why do you have to hurt things, living beings? To enjoy yourself, have fun, feel fulfilled in a relationship, to get your rocks off? Why? Maybe fix that. You know, it's not a little thing, because I'm telling you, this person saw a couple of things, or maybe they engaged, they were like, whatever, we start off as an affair, I don't care. There's so much more beneath the surface here with this person, and they're gonna be stuck with it. It feels like they're stuck with it. It feels like I also feel like this person may not have taken, you could be a person that takes marriage very seriously. Like you want it. Because I feel like that energy coming off this person, like, oh, lighten up. But it's like, you would never have ended up in this situation because you know that when you sign a binding legal contract with someone, even spiritually kind of binding contract with somebody, that there's repercussions to that. It's hard to get out of. So you want to go in eyes wide open. And I feel like this person, eyes wide shut, baby. Eyes wide shut. Maybe there's a reference to that movie as well, but this person went in eyes wide shut, and it's like, to me, I feel like that's kind of what it's just idiocy. It's giving what this person was. It's like this casual, dismissive, like nonchalant sort of attitude. It's just stupidity. It's just an excuse not to pay attention and not to engage the brain and not to kind of say, wait a second, I don't think something's right here. Because I think this person thought that they could gain, and they both have this like kind of thief mentality. Like, if it can give me a leg up in the short term, I'll go in for it, kind of thing. And I don't want anything to tell me I can't go in for it. They both have that. And so I think this person is realizing why you don't just look at the short term, why you need to look below the surface. Neither one of these people want to do that. This other person that they're with is better at it because they use it. They use it to kind of like keep people bound. They always know more than they say that they know. But this is dark sider stuff. They always know more than they say. Because I think you should know more than you say and more than you let on too, because it'll catch little people like this that think lying's okay. So if you know the truth, and that might have been what went on here, because this person didn't reveal the truth for like a long period of time. So you might have just sat with that knowledge and you're like, you're going to come forward and you're going to be able to tell me this like a man or like a woman. You're going to be an adult and be able to handle your business in a situation or not. But this person is like, well, they think the disagreement you're having is that you're prudish and they're not. When you're honest and they're not. And it also has to do with cowardice. Like this person's a coward. They don't want to confront their behavior, like even the emotional behavior, where actually like if this person could approach you, it's not a matter of like, because that's the way that they stop at like, oh, well, we have different views because you're prudish. It has nothing to do with this person kind of seems, I hate to keep using the word dumb, but it's like, they don't take things seriously, like threats in life seriously. They think it'll never happen to them. They don't think that they need to be like kind of aware. They just sort of fly by the seat of their pants. It's like, it's kind of energy that like really makes me feel like out of control in a bad way. Because we can have fun, you know, like, but this isn't fun to me. I kind of feel like it's like, this isn't fun to me. They think it's an issue of like prudishness. when it's not. It's an issue of you think this person's a coward. If it's not a big deal, then have an open conversation with me. If I'm so wrong, then have an open conversation with me and just allow us to both know that we're not compatible. You know, like I think this person doesn't want to admit that maybe you're not compatible. Yeah, I just felt like sweaty saying that. Because this person feels like you guys are compatible, but they just need to hide this from you so that they don't have to change or alter their behavior and so that you're not on their back. Because you're wrong about being on their back, because it's just a prudish thing and it doesn't have to do with safety and like the fact that you can get yourself in some fucked up situations. I feel like this person's about to hit the fuck up of all fucked up situations, and they're going to understand why you have your eyes open. Yeah. There's some justice here, and it hasn't been like quite paid back yet. Yeah, because I feel like this person maybe is still in like the listening phase or like the seeing phase. It's like you're their favorite in some kind of way. You're their favorite. I don't know. He came into my life at such a vulnerable time. I wanted to be loved and cared for. Yeah. I mean, this is a type of person that just like decides like what should be okay with you. And it's all those nuanced things, like what time in your life, like, did you go through something hard? Did you like, what do you need? Like, they don't care to even ask you. They just feel like telling you what's correct. And it is because they're like, it's more like an avoidant rather than a narcissist, this person that I'm picking up on. Like a dismissive avoidant. Someone that's like really, really in the thick of it. They don't understand. They feel put upon if they have to factor in. They don't understand why they have to like care about you. So now they don't want you to go. Okay, anything else about the karma here? Dude. They think that you're the Queen of Swords, and you are here because you've made your decision. You took your power back in the situation. You said, no, this is my decision to make. I've seen what I've seen. I know what I know. And they're going to realize that the person that they're with is bad. It's bad. Seems fine on the surface, is bad. Very bad. And that person, there's things that they don't know. You and whoever they're with both understand the whole, like, there's things beneath the surface, whereas this person just sort of dismisses it. And you used it to get yourself free and safe. Their person's going to use that against them. Yeah. Okay, so that was pile number 3. Yikes. But it's all, to help them grow and to help process through karmas and stuff. It's all towards that. Okay, so let's move into the general messages. I'm just going to take a drink here. Oh, man. Is this that I should go skydiving with her the week my dad died? Whoa. Like, thought it would be good for me somehow? Just twisted. Whoa. Wow. Okay. Yes. Okay. So it feels quiet, doesn't it? It feels very quiet. Oh, it's because it was raining earlier and now it's not. I was like, it just feels like very, very quiet. Okay. So, general messages. All right, Spirit. What general messages do you want to come through? Okay, so we've got some soul searching, inner work, deeper meaning, and spiritual path. So maybe this is about like doing that inner work, finding deeper meaning, connecting with your spiritual path. What do you want to say? Or maybe this is your person that's doing this. Take this however it's resonating, but I'm going to talk like it's you. Oh, look, fighting toxic love. So it could be that Spirit is saying this is the spiritual path. Oh, look, really committed this time. So, okay, it might, okay, I get this. So if this is your situation where there is some type of toxic love, there's like a lot of fighting, somebody here has been very childish, this is actually your spiritual path, like for both of you in its own way, and you're kind of like working through the karmas, like working up and out. And I feel like some of you might need to hear this, especially if you resonate with like the whole twin flame thing and being on a twin flame journey, because one of the noxious things about the twin flame community is you will hear a lot of like the more ignorant people in that community say that you're never ever supposed to leave your twin flame, and that when you leave your twin flame, then you're the runner and they're the chaser and you're running away from the relationship. When you're actually leaving this situation, if it is toxic truly, and if there's like some type of fight here, there's poor communication patterns, then it's being together is just going to keep being toxic. You can be in a cycle with somebody and be like right next to them, and you can be running away from yourself. And I know like the whole twin flame thing is that they are you and everything. I think at the end of the day, we're all God, like we're all the same kind of thing, but I don't know. So I think for some of you, like it might feel wrong to you to like leave a relationship with like a soulmate or a twin flame. You can sense that there's some kind of like spiritual reason or some kind of spiritual connection, but that does not predetermine, like it's descriptive. It's not prescriptive. Do you understand what I'm saying by that? So a spiritual connection is descriptive, right? So there's some kind of learning that's going on there, but it's not prescriptive, meaning it doesn't control the future, the way that things are supposed to work out in the future. Just because you find yourself in a spiritual connection with a soulmate or with a twin flame doesn't mean that you're necessarily supposed to end up together on a certain time frame. Because the better way of looking at that is that certain things need to happen. You have to heal. If there's poor communication patterns, meaning like maybe when you guys fight, there's a healthy, productive way of fighting. And actually, that's what a lot of therapists and psychologists and research has showed. Like if people tell me how you fight and I'll tell you like how healthy your relationship is, you know, like, is there name calling? Is there, it's like, there's a healthy, productive way of fighting. If that's not going on, then it's not, just because you are together doesn't mean that there's healing happening. So it's about learning how to heal the situation. And sometimes you have to walk away. And so learning when to walk away in the midst of a fight, in the midst of a relationship is healthy. And so I feel like some people need to hear that this is your spiritual path. Also, the group that might need to hear this is like the spiritual purists that say a lot of like those kind of empty platitude spiritual idioms that they've read in books or that they've heard people talk about, but it's very disembodied and it's very disconnected. Where it's like, well, the perfect way that things are supposed to be spiritually speaking is we all should, you know, they say don't shit on yourself. Well, it should be this way in a perfect world, but you don't live in a perfect world. You live in the real world. And so there's a way of getting to that result. Yes, if everything were to be perfect, it would end up that way. Just the same way where, I don't know, if somebody with like a breathing problem, if everything were to be perfect, they should just breathe in through your nose and breathe out your mouth. Like just breathe in, breathe out. Like that's not helpful to somebody who has an actual problem. They need to go to a specialist who is able to then find out like what is blocking or why doesn't this just naturally work? There's actually an obstruction there. So just telling somebody that, well, it should just work perfectly. Well, it should in a perfect world that we don't live in. So there needs to be some type of acknowledgement that things aren't working the way that it needs to. And so again, Spirit is saying this is your spiritual path, like is being able to see what is right in front of you and not living in some type of like, well, it should be this way. And, you know, so figure out how to get yourself back to homeostasis. Everything in life is always chasing back to homeostasis. Your body falls in and out of balance all the time. You know, sometimes you do get sick and you have that kind of chemical stress that's happening to your body. But then like your body will work through that and then bring itself back into homeostasis. But, you know, you have to do things differently while you're sick. You got to rest more. You got to drink more water. So like this is a relationship that is at the very least sick. And so it is a part of your spiritual path. Don't run away from it by saying this is wrong and it's interfering with my spiritual path. Do you see what I'm trying to say? You see here the difference? This is wrong and it's interfering with my spiritual path. Because my spiritual path should just feel easy. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe it should, but you're getting there. And it's not there for a reason. And those are your karmas that you kind of have to work through. So this is like very much your spiritual path. So between you and this person. I'm also getting that this person might need to be in like a hermit mode or and be on their own. This feels like something about your relationship didn't work, didn't follow through here in this life. They chose somebody else, something here. Like they're on their soul path. But it feels like, again, hermit mode. Somebody here is like on their soul path to do with like hermit mode. Yeah, reconciliation and high value. Somebody here wants to like reconcile with somebody that they feel is very high value. The Empress, self-worth, will not settle. Okay, because there's a difference between like reconciling, right? And just you'll do anything, you'll take anything, you'll accept anything just to stick this back together. And like Spirit is saying, isn't there a way to reconciliation where it's like, you know your self-worth and you are not going to settle for the same kinds of like toxic love and like the toxic kind of fighting that was going on in the past? That's a real reconciliation. It's not the kind of checklist reconciliation where it's like, I just want to check this off my list of like, okay, well, we got back together on March 6th, 2026. We got back together. We are physically in the same place. Our relationship, like we got technically back together. Sometimes like it's not sustainable in the long run unless people are doing like their part or saying maybe this doesn't work for now or something like that. But yeah, really committed this time. The ex. Undercover love triangle, sleeping with an ex, someone you know, conflict resolution. I think like you're learning how to resolve this conflict. That's what trauma is like a conflict that it's whether it's internal or external, you don't know how to deal with the pain. You don't know how to kind of like resolve it. So Spirit is saying like you have to be a person who knows how to resolve it. First and foremost within self, like on your own, having healthy communication skills. That's a big one, having healthy communication skills. And, I'm a Gemini. Like I have a lot of, like Gemini air sign kind of stuff in my chart. And I feel like I'm usually very good with words. And it took me a while to realize like that I can be bad at communicating, like in my personal relationships, because sometimes communicating emotionally hasn't always felt right to me. And that if you don't communicate with your partner well about like emotional stuff, that you're a poor communicator in relationships. I had to work that out in therapy, where I'm like, well, I feel like I'm good with words, but a lot of times being good with words means that you can just sort of try to keep things where you want them, like your comfort zone. And this is about maybe stepping out of a comfort zone in order to break some type of cyclical pattern. And it is very much your spiritual path. Like it's one and the same thing. It is the karmas that are being worked out here. Okay, back together. There's a lot of like reconciliation back together. It's over for real. Maybe somebody's like, well, are we, okay, I think it's maybe scary for some where it's like, okay, well, if I do that, how can I trust that we're getting back together? Or is it over for real? What does Spirit want to say about that? Hurting and guilt. Spirit is saying, don't focus on that. Bring your attention back to the here and now. Focus on the hurting and focus on the guilt. Like, are you hurting? In what way are you hurting? Sit with that. Feel those emotions fully. Are you feeling guilty? Is your person hurting? Are they feeling guilty? Sit with that. What might each of you need that, I don't know, like that, does this person operate differently than you? Do they need different things than you do in order to like get back to their homeostasis? I don't know. What else do you want to say, Spirit? Vibes in sync, energy match, same page, flow together. Spotlight. Okay, so if you or your person, I think this is maybe your person, the person maybe in pile 3 that we were just talking about, because there's a spotlight here on this energy. And it says narcissist loves attention, but I feel like there's maybe a spotlight that they're maybe with somebody or they have been with somebody that their energy is a match. It's maybe a toxic love. It's maybe like a fighting energy where it's like, I don't know. Spirit is saying there's maybe like some type of match here, but they're wanting you guys to, or maybe they're wanting you to be a match, like to get on the same page energetically so that you can kind of flow together. Somebody wants to say that they learned their lesson around like some type of Netflix and chill situation. But again, there's learning the lesson on that superficial level. And I'm not trying to knock that. That's big, right? Understanding that you don't just Netflix and chill. You don't just sneak around and cheat on people. There's an integrity thing. There's an honesty thing. If somebody's got an issue with being integral and being honest, you're going to have way more problems in your relationship than just having other people involved in your relationship in a sexual way. Probably you'll have other people involved in your relationship. Maybe this person, they have no integrity. Maybe all of your health information will be out all over town. This person will running around talking about you. Maybe there's money issues here. Integrity touches everything, right? So there's a deeper kind of lesson, because I feel like this person's like, okay, well, the issue that popped up in our relationship before was I cheated and I realized that I shouldn't have cheated now. And maybe they really do realize that they should not have cheated. Maybe somebody did that to them. Maybe, I don't know. It feels like they could really know that. But do they know the bigger issue about integrity and honesty and like that importance? I don't think that's the case. So even though it's like there's been progress made here, it hasn't been it's not the level of progress that is kind of like needing to be made, if that makes sense. They're not as far along as they think that they are. They haven't brought this lesson as deep as they need to. Snooping. Distractions. Stubborn. Yeah, it's like this person is simultaneously snooping on you, spying on you, while living like very distracted, being in a very like kind of distracted space, keeping you waiting, entertaining other options. And it's very stubborn. Like they're just very stubbornly in that place. And somebody else here is in a very peaceful vibe, kind of like they've made their peace with the situation. They've kind of moved on. It feels like this person is kind of arguing with me. They're not trying to argue. This is like the kind of energy where it's like, well, I'm not arguing with you. Oh, what was it? I'm not arguing with you. I'm just explaining to you why I'm right. You know, kind of a thing. It's like they're not trying to be in an argumentative space, but it does feel like somebody here is a little bit like, you know, man yells at sky, like, or man yells at cloud kind of thing. Like they're yelling at spirit, or like they're yelling at me like, why can't this be like brought back together? And they're frustrated and they don't understand. And it feels like they've made some type of progress here, but it's like, yeah, there's a push-pull sort of dynamic. And this person understands now because they don't have what they want. But that's why it's push-pull. So it'll last for a little bit, but it's like still not sustainable. They want to have this safe love. They know that there's unfinished business here. This person is like kind of keeps coming through. They feel like you're stubborn, or that spirit is being stubborn. So what are you trying to say, spirit? Anything else? Spirit is still holding some kind of secret from the past. And I said that in one of the piles, that was part of the karma, where it's like something that somebody once revealed. This feels like somebody arguing with that. Like, well, I want this information, or this is why I should have it, or whatever. It feels like this person wants to know something about the way that you felt in the past about them, to know whether or not it's over for real now. Like if you wanted what they wanted, then they'll go after you. I don't know. I'm kind of done with that energy, because it's the kind of energy that feels like it is pushing its way through. But I can tell, like, it's like they have a lot to learn. This person that's like kind of pushing their way through, they're being like very obstinate. And they are kind of like not respecting the boundary, or like that spirit's put in, or that you've put in here. But I can tell that they really are genuinely confused and frustrated. They do feel like they've learned something here. But again, it's like not as flexible. Hold on. I kept seeing this. This person is saying that they ran away from the chemistry, and that they just daydream about it all the time. Or they're confused. Maybe why you ran away from it. And why you needed space. This person's saying that there's a lot of chemistry between the two of you, and they're confused, like why you ran off, why you ran away. They want to mend the situation. Or they're saying that they ran away, and that they're confused why they ran away from the situation. I guess they were like freaked out about it. And then they were indecisive. There was some kind of unexpected outcome. We've heard this time and time again, and I'm just really not open to hearing it anymore. So, I'm going to clear that, because it kind of felt a continuation from pile number 3 for some of you. And I just want to see if there's anything not love related that spirit wants to talk about. Okay, some type of argument or fight. Again, I don't think this is love related. It could have to do with like a group here. And you're feeling like the 8 of Swords, like kind of maybe powerless, stuck. Spirit is trying to guide you through this. What do you want to say about? So there's been an argument here. I feel like we're just repeating things that were like from earlier. Somebody here is taking the higher ground. Like, not because they literally have the higher ground, but somebody here. Well, okay, so I think one person here maybe genuinely does have a higher ground. And then somebody else here is just being defensive, thinking that they have the higher ground kind of a thing. Sneaking around. Confused. A lot of 7s that are coming through. Maybe they're trying to hit some type of jackpot. I think they thought that they were following their intuition, but it led them right into like a trap. It like ended something here. And they could have gotten in a fight with somebody that is like maybe their favorite. Somebody that's like very balanced, or like very giving with their energy. Or maybe this is you. And you're asking about this, and Spirit's just letting you know that this person's kind of sharking around your energy. Spirit, why are you bringing this through? Somebody has a plan to move forward at speed or to push things forward or to bring things that are opposites back together. So you and this person may have very opposite perspectives. You might be from very different places. Why are you bringing this forward, Spirit? I mean, somebody here is just very angry, like watching you. They're stuck in some type of devil energy. Wow. 4 major arcana cards have come out so far. 5, 6, 7 major arcana cards. So it has a lot to do with their soul's journey. And I think that they're watching you or they're watching somebody here. It's a Hierophant energy. Maybe it's a couple, or just their intuition led them somewhere. They're watching. They're very obstinate. They feel kind of like separated out. And it's like, are you going to accept your soul's journey or not? But they feel very like ashamed with the moon. There's a lot hidden here. There's a lot of secretives. This person is like very stubborn, like restricted here. They're sneaking around this, like, again, Empress energy, a lot of Taurus energy that's coming through. Oh, there is like a divine plan here in splitting certain people apart. There's a Tower moment. And I think there could have been a Tower moment because somebody here had a plan. Maybe to cause an argument or to be argumentative in a certain way. They had some type of plan here. So Spirit put the kibosh on it. So did somebody have a plan to fight with you? Yes. It was like somebody's wish fulfillment to fight with you. I hope this isn't you. I hope this is not your energy. They wanted to have an argument about like some kind of connection that you have. Because I think this person is jealous about some type of connection that you have. It could even be a friendship. They're so angry about it. Like some type of connection that you just kind of have. Feels like jealousy. And so they had some type of plan to start an argument. Maybe it's between you and another person, but did they have this plan? Spirit put the kibosh on this. So yeah. I don't know. I'm starting to get tired and like fade out. So I am going to put this down, but I feel like there was some type of argument here. Spirit definitely stepped in. There was confusion here about an Empress. So this could be confusion about a relationship, confusion about whether something here was like growing. That could be a platonic relationship or a romantic relationship. Somebody was trying to start something here. It feels like they were just very jealous, and Spirit saw what was going on and kind of put the kibosh on it. And it could have been through somebody felt like they were following their intuition, but it led them right into a trap and it caused like some type of ending. But Spirit is like heavily involved in that situation. So, okay. Yeah. Okay. I am starting to get tired now. I'm going to go take a little nap and eat some food. My voice is going. Sometimes I start to kind of fade out here towards the end, but I hope that this message was understandable and clear, but that was their karma. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and spending some time here. We have a live stream tomorrow on Patreon, and it is, where do you have the most potential for growth? I thought that said daycare, but it says, it's do you. Where do you have the most potential for growth? So, for those of you that are on Patreon, I will see you guys over there tomorrow at the same time. And I hope you have a great, wonderful, lovely week. Bye.